Gravity boots.
You want to have money in your future? You got to start saving now. Putting some money from every paycheck into a savings account or contributing to your 401k can make a big difference later. Put away a few bucks, feel like $1 million. For free ideas and easy ways to save, go to feedthepig.org. That's feedthepig.org.
Hey, let's just hope Steve 2037 doesn't get his hands on a cold time machine, because he is going to come back here and knock some sense into you.
This message brought to you by the American Institute of Certified Public Accountants and the Ad Council.
Today we decided to walk to school. The light counted. 15, 14.
31? I mean, 13?
We took a left on Carroll Street. Danny's smart, but he gets distracted. He realized he forgot his homework. I hope he doesn't have another bad day at school.
When you can see learning and attention issues from their side, you can be on their side. That's why there's Understood.org, a free resource for the parents of the 1 in 5 kids with learning and attention issues. Go from misunderstanding to Understood.org. Brought to you by Understood and the Ad Council.
Make a resolution, Milwaukee, to eat your fruits and vegetables. Go to the new Pete's Fruit Market on Martin Luther King and North Ave. Find the freshest fruit, always the perfect peach. Pete's Fruit Market is a brand new, modern, full-service grocery with an in-store butcher shop. Go see the manager, Vidal, for daily specials at the new Pete's Fruit Market on North Ave and MLK. Tell them that the Devil's Advocate sent you.
Hi, this is Brad Saug, owner of Zero Res Madison Carpet Cleaning. Zero Res is the best new technology in carpet cleaning. We have a patented process using empowered water, a high-tech process in which we force the water to act like soap. It doesn't want to stay in that state. It's jacked up and it's angry and it wants to hit the dirt and then it neutralizes. When we're done, all that's left in your carpet is just light moisture. In the end, you get the cleanest, greenest, healthiest carpet cleaning available. Call us at 848-9000. Zero Res. Spell it backward or forward. It's the right way to clean.
Me, a cat, moving in with a new human. It took a little getting used to. She has these weird games she likes to play, like this giant feather. She sticks it in my face. I swat it away. She sticks it in my face. I swat it away. It's almost like she thinks I enjoy it. But seeing how much fun she gets out of it, well, I guess it makes it all worth it. Humans.
A person is the best thing to happen to a shelter pet. Be that person. Adopt. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the ShelterPetProject.org.
We got Mark Pocan live via phone. Mark, does Paul Ryan hate poor people?
Oh, he hates poor people and middle-class people. I mean, I think when he was probably 5 years old playing with Play-Doh, trying to, adjust the taxes on Play-Doh. So, to be fair, I think he's doing what he always said he was going to do. It's just no one actually believed he was either that cruel, evil, or dumb to do it.
The Devil's Advocates, weekday afternoons on 1510 AM, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio.
The Devil's Advocates, because freedom.
And we are back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show live on Wisconsin's Resistance Radio, 1510 AM WRRD. Streaming live on Facebook, YouTube. We're on Twitter at Devil Radio. And always on the phones, 844-967-2789.
Dominic, you know the best kind of communist? An old communist.
An old communist is the best communist?
Donald Trump speaking now, he said there will be no deal on DACA without a wall.
Well, that's what he says now until he talks to somebody else, and then he changes his mind because that's his prerogative.
Give Dianne Feinstein one more crack at him.
Right before he signs something. Have Dianne hand him the pen.
He says we're building up our military as never before. Dom, we've got a show like never before. We've got U.S. Senator Tammy Baldwin joining us next. But right now, we've got Wisco Paul on the phones. Welcome, Paul. What's the happenings?
Hey, good afternoon, Devils. One quick point. If Milwaukee turns out to vote, you can put a fork in Walker. He's done. And thanks for having the senator on today. Thank you. Later.
Milwaukee turns out to vote. You can put a fork in Walker. He's done.
Hey, we're in Milwaukee.
This is the whole purpose of this radio station.
I think we could encourage our friends and neighbors.
One of the main pillar purposes, making money would be nice. But yes. Above and beyond that purpose is the purpose of getting out the vote. Talk radio is about getting out the vote. It's about giving you connection with your politicians, with the politics.
And with each other, actually.
We do.
I mean, we're not alone out here, I guess is the point. You don't have to, listen to only one side. There's all sorts of opinions out there, folks. And this is one of the vehicles by which the community can actually participate in the governance.
And I do strive to suppress the vote of Waukesha County. I mean, I don't have any power over the ballot box. I don't have any power to, jam some voter ID or
Here, Waukesha
close
County,
their.
all we're doing is exposing, a different line of thinking to our friends who have not yet realized they're our friends in Waukesha County. They'll come along.
Buddy, you know where and I know everyone's talking about outstate Dems, but you know where Democrats that win the state of Wisconsin, you know where they come from? Madison or Milwaukee. You know where the hotbed of Democratic voters are? Madison, Milwaukee, and number 3, Waukesha. Third largest voter base in the state of Wisconsin, at least amongst Dems, Waukesha. Yeah, I know it's overly red, but Waukesha still is the third biggest place for Democrats to pick up votes. And you know where this fine WRRD 1510 AM radio station originates from? Freaking Waukesha.
Waukesha.
No, we got our fine studios down here on Brady Street in Milwaukee.
We're just off of Les Paul Parkway, man. We're right in Waukesha.
Now, Wisco Paul, you think that was Soglin trying to call in? Had a bad rotary? I think that was our buddy Wisco Paul, right?
Oh, my man. Wisco Paul's his phone's been not too good lately.
Kind of like Paul. The roads out there.
Yeah.
No thanks to Winker.
He busted all the windows in his car driving down the road, hitting potholes. So perhaps that's why it's a little windy on the cell phone.
Well, Trump still talks at the podium. He's off script. That's always nervous time. War could break out at any moment. And if it does not, we'll come back with U.S. Senator Tammy Baldwin right after this short message. You are listening to the Devil's Advocates, perhaps the greatest radio show ever, right here on WRRD 1510 AM. We are Wisconsin's Resistance Radio.
'Cause you know where I'll be found when I come around. When I come around. When I come around. When I come around.
Even their new motto, resist. And I guess it's a pretty accurate motto. Every time I see it, I say, that's right.
Sign on with the devil.
Presents multiple choice parenting.
Your daughter just had her first breakup. Do you A, put yourself in her shoes?
How could he do this to you? And for Sheila, she has split ends.
B, console her.
Oh, sweetie, this is going to happen a lot. 4, maybe 5 more times before you get married.
C, take charge.
Got to get this all straightened out. Give a little talking to, man to man, mano a mano. Hey, Steve! Is now a good time? No? Okay, no problem. Bye.
Or D, help her find a new boyfriend.
I know a great place to meet boys. The internet. Nice, single boys. Never mind. How about some ice cream?
As a parent, there are no perfect answers. But you don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same.
For more information on how you can adopt, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
Well, you are listening to Wisconsin's Resistance Radio, WRRD, 1510 AM, Milwaukee, Waukesha. Ooh, I just felt a trickle down.
When Wisconsin Republican Brad Schimmel,
I don't have a lot of expertise,
decided to run for Wisconsin Attorney General,
I don't even know my own website address.
Even some conservatives questioned his ability.
You can always say no to a request for an interview, and I kind of wish Mr. Schimmel had said no. I don't think he was ready for that.
Schimmel claims to be all about law and order.
You start with the default position that yes, you will enforce the laws.
Apparently, even if that means enforcing a 1960s-style ban on interracial marriage.
It might be distasteful to me, but I've got to stay consistent with that as the state's lawyer. It's not my job to pick and choose.
Wisconsin deserves a competent attorney general.
We gotta go.
Yes, Brad Schimmel, you do gotta go. This message was paid for by the People for People.
When you need an attorney, trust the voice of experience. The only choice, Lawton and Cates.
I needed an attorney because I was injured at work. I wanted to find a reputable attorney. The results that I got with Lawton and Cates were very good. I'm very happy with the way I was treated and the end result that I got.
Trust the voice of experience. Call the attorneys at Lawton and Cates. 282-6200. 282-6200.
Join the Resistance, WRRD, Resistance Radio. Tune in Monday through Friday beginning at 7 a.m. The Earl Ingram Show starts your day from 7 to 9. Then join Brian and Daryl for 414 Wisconsin from 9 to 11. You can hear the Tom Hartman program from 11 to 2. Then from 2 to 5, it's the Devil's Advocates with Dom and Crute. Tune in to 1510 a.m. throughout the day. WRRD, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio.
Good afternoon. It is 2:32 for 1510 a.m. WRRD, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio. My name is Brian Kelly, and I have some local headlines for you. Former State Representative Mandela Barnes announced today on the Earl Ingram Show that he is running for lieutenant governor. Mayor Paul Soglin of Madison is kicking off his campaign for governor today. Wisconsin is spending $1 million to lure young Chicagoans to our state. Foxconn is extending the eviction date for some renters after questions were raised about the 28-day eviction notices they received. County Executive Chris Abele has reversed course and now says 8 emergency homeless shelters will be fully funded in 2018. And the Orlando Magic is in town tonight to take on the Bucks. Tonight, a 40% chance of rain, lows in the low 40s. Tomorrow, rain likely, temperatures falling throughout the day. It is currently 41 degrees here on Brady Street in Milwaukee and 40 in Waukesha. For 1510 a.m. WRRD, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio, my name is Brian Kelly.
I don't know if you know the Devil's Advocates, but they are kind of a big deal.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show. Dominic, we've got a guest right now live via phone. She's kind of a big deal. She is U.S. Senator Tammy Baldwin, a friend of ours. Senator Baldwin, welcome back to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you, too. It's great to join you.
Thank you, Senator.
Well, Senator, I feel like in these Trump times we live, there's no time for small talk. Let's get to the politics. Trump just now, Senator, speaking from a podium, addressing the issue of border security, the Dreamers in DACA, stated that there will be no deal on the Dreamers without a wall. Senator, I want to get your reaction to this newest statement.
Well, it contradicts the one that he made about a few hours back, and that contradicts the ones he made a few minutes before that, and that contradicts what he said in a meeting that was televised yesterday afternoon. Actually, I do not claim to have precision with the timing on all of that, but if you watched any of the televised coverage of the meeting on Dreamers yesterday, you saw that he said several inconsistent things. And so I am choosing to be hopeful and to say that we have to keep the promise that has been made to these Dreamers who have known no other country than the United States throughout their lives. Let's have the DREAM Act on the table, and certainly we should have the security of our nation on the table. But let's talk about things that work and things that are sensible and not a ridiculous wall.
Well, your colleague, Senator Dianne Feinstein, yesterday in that televised roundtable, if she had only asked the question, I think there would have been a differing answer. It seemed like she had Donald Trump talked into a clean DACA bill yesterday, and I can understand why there might be some question. But I've got to ask you a different one. Before she went into that meeting, apparently, Senator Dianne Feinstein also released some information, some specific testimony on Fusion GPS. And, of course, the topic was Trump's Russian dossier. I want to get your opinion. Was this the right action from your colleague, Dianne Feinstein? Obviously, Chuck Grassley did not endorse this action. I want to get your opinion, Senator.
Well, I think transparency, whenever possible, is always the right policy. It was fascinating to watch this over time because Chairman Grassley had said earlier that he intended to release this transcript publicly, as did other people on a bipartisan basis. And in recent weeks, the individual who was interviewed called for the transcript of his interview to be released, and it was. So I think, a lot is being made of this, but I think that it was appropriate under these circumstances. But I think my stronger focus is making sure that the special prosecutor, Bob Mueller, is able to continue his work unimpeded and get to the truth, get to the bottom of things, so that we can know.
Senator, it would seem that our colleagues, your colleagues on the right, don't want the truth to get out. The Fusion GPS testimony contained therein, it seemed to substantiate, and there were many of the highlights that came out of this report, things like there might be a source from inside the Trump administration, that the FBI had been doing a lot of these investigations prior. Senator Baldwin, did any new news come to light that you thought was particularly troubling or that should be brought to our audience's attention?
Well, I would say a couple of things. First of all, Mr. Simpson's testimony and interview was quite long, and so I will concede I have not gotten through the entire document. But I will say that I think that there is some new information to be gleaned, but I think even as important as any revelations in his interview, what has occurred through its release is basically making it harder for those who would wish to memorize what was said to do so. And that has been a recent concern of mine, attempts to discredit investigations rather than let them go on unimpeded, so that we can all get to the truth and understand the various ways in which Russia tried to influence the outcome of our election.
Folks, you're listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show on Wisconsin's Resistance Radio, 1510 AM WRRD. U.S. Senator from Wisconsin, Tammy Baldwin, joins us on the phone. Senator, when I get to some fiscal issues with you here, my understanding is we are on the verge of another government shutdown, perhaps January 19th, which would be a week from this Friday, next week. Senator, where do we stand with our current budget?
So I think everyone involved wants to avoid the prospect of a government shutdown, and there are earnest negotiations going on. Now, at the top of our discussion, we talked about the Dreamers, and clearly that is one of the big issues that's not actually necessarily a part of the budget, but is an urgent situation. I think we want to get it done on the same timeline. But we are talking this Wednesday, January 10th, which is now 102 days since the child health insurance program was allowed to expire by Republicans on September 30th. It's 102 days since funding for community health centers was allowed to expire. A number of other health programs were allowed to expire. It is long overdue for us to make good on our commitment to have a federal partnership in fighting the incredible and tragic opioid epidemic that we have in our country. And we have another crisis that I've been very involved in trying to solve, and that is a pension crisis specifically involving tens of thousands of Wisconsinites who are retirees participating in a pension fund known as the Central States pension fund. But that particular pension fund is not alone in facing the prospect of insolvency, and therefore the retirees are facing the prospect of deep cuts to the pensions on which they rely to survive, frankly. And they are scared, but they're also organizing. And we have, I've joined my colleague Sherrod Brown in introducing a bill called the Butch-Lewis Act, which would put these failing pension plans back on solid ground to ensure that they can meet their commitments to hardworking Wisconsinites and others across the country. And we have been negotiating as hard as we can for restoration of funding to all those programs that I just described, and to include the Butch-Lewis Act in our year-end budget deal.
Senator, I've got to ask you, it's been about 8 years since Citizens United passed, and practical talk, you've got a re-election campaign that's going to start gearing up, but the opposition, they started gearing up last year, Tammy. My understanding, millions of dollars.
You noticed.
I think everyone noticed.
Something to the tune of $5 million in dark money campaign ads have flown in to the state of Wisconsin opposing your candidacy. We're just now turning the calendar to an election year. Senator, want to get your opinion in light of the impending anniversary of Citizens United. What's it like running a campaign when your opponents are billionaires in other states?
Yeah, so it's shocking to see the proliferation of dark money, the money that doesn't have to be disclosed or declared, these super PACs, and yet we, I think, know since the Citizens United decision that this is how special interests rig the system in their favor. Washington isn't working, and it's especially not working for Wisconsin. But these special interests seem to get what they want, whether it's in the form of tax policy that is disproportionately favoring and benefiting big corporations and the wealthy, the very donors to these super PACs and dark money campaigns, or whether it's the big pharmaceutical companies that are jacking up prices of life-saving and life-extending drugs for Wisconsinites who can't afford them. I have never been afraid to stand up to these big special interests and fight for hardworking Wisconsinites, and they know it. And I think that's why they're targeting me. Not only is it because Wisconsin, narrowly went on the Republican side of the ledger in the last election, but it's because they recognize that I'm going to stand up to them, and they can spend $5 million, and it's not going to silence me.
And Senator, that's a clear contrast with the two known Republican opponents that are out there primarying each other. They both embraced dark money. They've embraced super PACs. They've embraced sugar daddies and sugar mamas. It seems like the new way to run a political campaign. You get yourself a major benefactor. What's your thought on your Republican, at least the two known Republican candidates so far?
I think this is the sort of natural evolution of the Citizens United decision, where it unleashed the opportunity for corporations to spend money on elections, where it unleashed the opportunities for secretive PACs, political action committees, to be set up, and where candidates are expected to gain the support of smaller donors in order to, demonstrate support and run their elections. Now, the special interests can run their own campaigns in parallel with candidates. This is just outrageous, and it makes people so much more cynical about whether government can work for them. And frankly, sometimes when it's, the Washington bureaucracy that's the problem, I stand up to them, too, on behalf of Wisconsin citizens. So I'm going to continue to fight every day for hardworking Wisconsinites in Washington. And, ultimately, we have to figure out a way to move beyond Citizens United. I'd love to see it reversed by the Supreme Court, but in the meantime, we've got to remind people that it's their voice and their vote that really matters in the end.
Tammy, I suspect many in the audience would like to move beyond the Donald Trump presidency, yet your opponents are both embracing Donald Trump, seeking his endorsement, and that of Steve Bannon. Both Nicholson and Buchmer sought the endorsement of Steve Bannon. So I guess I've got to ask you, is Donald Trump the electoral issue of the year? Is it an avoidable topic when you're running for office this year?
What I want to focus on is how hardworking Wisconsinites can get ahead. And, I have said that I'm unafraid, this is true, I am unafraid to stand up to any, big special interest who will impede that. But I'm also willing to sit down across the party aisle for the benefit of Wisconsinites if that will help us move things forward. And so, as we've talked about before on this very show, if I could work with Donald Trump and the carried interest loophole, I would do so. And as you know, I sponsor that legislation. We talked about it during the campaign last year. And regrettably, he was all words and no action when it came to the tax bill. But I don't think that hedge fund millionaires and billionaires should be getting a special tax break, which they still enjoy after the tax bill went through. I also strongly support Buy America, Hire America policies. I've been supporting those for my whole political career. Last time Donald Trump came to Wisconsin and was visiting Snap-on Tools in Kenosha, he endorsed my Buy America for water infrastructure measure. He said, I back it 100%. Well, I want to see some action with those words, but we're working across the aisle, as I've done with John McCain, on holding big pharmaceutical companies accountable for their drug price increases. I'm going to do so. And where these big special interests need to be called out, I'm going to do that too.
Senator Tammy Baldwin, our friend, thank you so much for joining us here on the Devil's Advocates. Got like 10 seconds less. Tammy, any word on Pope Francis and the carried interest tax credit? Has he moved position?
I have not heard him enunciate a new or clarified or more detailed position on the carried interest loophole.
We'll update PolitiFact. Thank you so much, Tammy Baldwin. Come back, more Devil's Advocates.
I gotta go, American woman. Yeah.
American women deserve better, and American women are here to fight back.
Have you outgrown your house? Are you sick of apartment living? Not ready to buy but know you need to move? Hi folks, this is Tom Hartman for CCL Management in Middleton. You should consider moving up to one of the finer rental homes CCL Management represents. Unique houses and condos, always clean, most are pet friendly. Visit cclmanagement.com today to find your new home. CCL Management, Dane County's premier leasing and property management company.
Call CCL Management at 833-0009. That's 833-0009 or visit cclmanagement.com today.
Hi, I'm Anton Capella, Chief Technology Officer at Five Nines. Five Nines is more than just our name. It's the level of service you can expect. We provide 99.999% uptime. That's the highest availability and performance you can get. You have enough to worry about with your business data, web, security, and cloud services, so we'll manage your IT so you don't have to. Visit 5nines.com. That's the number 5, NINES.com.
My name is Adam Holmes, and I'm proud to be union.
Adam, you're Director of Training for Painters District Council 7. What do you do?
I'm making sure that we're investing in our members. We're providing the safest and best trained painters, glazers, drywall finishers, and trade show workers in the industry, and we also do that at no cost to the taxpayers.
Why hire unions?
Because it costs less to be safe. We keep the contractor on the right side of OSHA and help keep the workmen's comp rates affordable. Join us, Painters and Allied Trades, District Council 7.
The Resistance is live 7 days a week here on 1510 AM WRRD, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio. Tune in Saturdays for Busted Pencils, fully leaded education talk with Dr. Tim Slecker, 11 a.m. to noon. Then it's the voice of the voiceless, champion of the working class. Earl Ingram's Saturday show is live from 12 to 3 p.m. Then Right Meets Left with the Joel and Joe Costa Show. Republican State Rep Joel Clayfish and Democratic State Rep Joe Costa Zamarupa go toe-to-toe from 3 to 4. Always streaming at newstalk1510am.com, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio.
Hi, I'm Crudy. I'm here with Bill Carroll, president of Teamsters Local 344. Bill, why are you union? Teamster strong.
Well, Crudy, our strength comes from our membership. The Teamsters are North America's strongest labor union with 1.4 million members.
Bill, what does the Teamsters do for the next generation?
The same thing that the Teamsters have done for the last 100 years. Assisting groups of workers in negotiating improvements in their wages, hours, and working conditions.
Where do people go if they want to know more about the Teamsters, more about joining the union?
There's 3 easy options. They can call Local 344 at 414-258-4545. They can contact us through our website. That's local344.org. Local, the number is 344.org. Or they can contact us through the Local 344 Facebook page.
Be union strong. Join Teamsters 344. Be like Crudy. Be like News Talk 1510 AM. Stand with the unions. Join the Teamsters. Local344.org.
Have a drink at Regano's Roman Coin. This neighborhood corner tavern is as classic as the street it occupies. Family owned and operated since 1966, Regano's Roman Coin is located in a former Pabst Tide House on historic Brady Street, serving an array of craft beers with a focus on Wisconsin breweries. Also, weekly drink specials, trivia on Wednesdays, seasonal sporting events, parties hosted for all occasions, and pet friendly. Open 11 a.m. Tuesday through Friday, 10 a.m. Saturday and Sunday, closed on Monday. Regano's Roman Coin, Milwaukee's pet friendly, cash only order and classic corner tavern.
Driving has a rhythm all its own. Don't wreck it with a text. Before you get behind the wheel, silence your phone. Or better yet, designate a texter. For more text-free driving tips, visit stoptextstoprex.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration.
The big and tall of political talk. Dom and Krutz are the Devil's Advocates.
Welcome back. You're listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show live on Wisconsin's Resistance Radio, 1510 AM WRRD. You can join us on the phones anytime you want, 844-967-2789.
Want to thank Tammy Baldwin, a friend of ours, a fine U.S. Senator, a good progressive, and a fine guest on this program. And Dom, do you remember the time I got her PolitiFact?
Yeah, so at the end of that interview, if people don't know this story, it was
sort of an inside joke, and I didn't know she was going to go there. But I got our fine U.S. Senator PolitiFacted during the campaign cycle, and I didn't mean to do it. I thought I was being clever.
You were. It was kind of a joke.
But you judge for yourself. We've saved the sound. Here it is. Tammy Baldwin getting questioned by yours truly on the carried interest tax credit. Play it for the people, Bri. Tammy, I never thought I would find the day where Donald Trump, the Pope, and you all agree that the carried interest loophole should be closed. This is contributing to the income inequality we have here in our nation. Tammy,
and so which of those three people surprised you the most in terms of supporting that?
I would say Donald Trump, quite frankly. I think he sort of let out the secret.
Teasing you.
Well, I was teasing her back there at the end of the interview because she was rated half true, and she did expound upon it, but effectively she carried my theme forward, and she and Donald Trump had both professed to want to eliminate the carried interest tax credit.
They specifically said the words carried interest tax credit. The
of
Pope,
course,
however,
when the tax cut for the rich bill came around, that tax cut was retained for the rich. But Pope Francis, well, he does often speak about income inequality, and I think at the time of that appearance, he had just put some sort of doctrine
Some
out.
general comments about the sins of inequality, perhaps, something along those lines.
But our frenemies over at PolitiFact Wisconsin, specifically Tom Kircher, they ran it up the flagpole and they gave Tammy a half true.
Tom, come on. I mean, at least, given the circumstances and the setup, mostly true?
You want to know a little other insight, another inside little joke? Tom Kircher emailed me this morning.
Why?
He said, hey, you got any guests coming up later in the week?
Always, man.
Yes. I said, we've got an outstanding show today. We've got U.S. Senator Tammy Baldwin. We've got Evan Goyke. He's coming up a little bit later. Fine Democratic state rep. In fact, we got, half the Democratic gubernatorial field on the show this week. We've got Kathleen Vineout, Malin Mitchell, Mandela Barnes. Yeah, we got lots of big guests. So somewhere out there, I was thinking, there's at least a probability that Tom Kircher was also listening. So I thought we could perhaps update that PolitiFact for the record. I'd have called it mostly true.
Yeah, I agree.
2 out of 3.
Ain't bad.
Think we should get rid of it. Hell, I'd say 2 out of 3 Republicans in the state of Wisconsin are probably fans of the program you're listening to right now, even if they don't admit it publicly. Come back with us. Greatest radio show ever, Devil's Advocates, right here on Wisconsin's only Resistance Radio.
So what I told you was true, from a certain point of view.
I wish you weren't a liar.
Wisconsin's doing terribly. The roads are a disaster because they don't have any money to rebuild them. They're borrowing money like crazy. They projected a $1 billion surplus, and it turns out to be a deficit of $2.2 billion. The schools are a disaster. The hospitals and education is a disaster. And when I see Scott Walker with his little motorcycle and puts his helmet on and he gets off and he makes a speech, but he's always riding like he gets off a bike like he's a big tough guy, okay, or a little tough guy. Their lobbyists, their special interests, and their donors will start calling. They gave you $1 million to your campaign, and this one gave you $5 million, and this one, you have to do it. You know what he's going to say? Okay, I'll do it.
Mr. Trump, you're using the talking points of the Democrats, and as we all know,
I'm using facts.
This message was paid for by the People for People Corporation. Donate online at p4ppc.org, p4ppc.org.
Make a resolution, Milwaukee, to eat your fruits and vegetables. Go to the new Pete's Fruit Market on Martin Luther King and North Ave. Find the freshest fruit, always the perfect peach. Pete's Fruit Market is a brand new, modern, full-service grocery with an in-store butcher shop. Go see the manager, Vidal, for daily specials at the new Pete's Fruit Market on North Ave in MLK. Tell them that the Devil's Advocate sent you.
It only takes a minute to find out if you may have prediabetes, and you can do it at doihaveprediabetes.org. But you're probably not going to, are you? Kids, work, listening to the radio. You're busy, which is great because busy people can't get prediabetes. Oh my, I read that wrong. They can. Should have worn my glasses. So visit doihaveprediabetes.org and take a short test because prediabetes can be reversed.
Brought to you by the Ad Council and its pre-diabetes awareness partners.
You are listening to Wisconsin's Resistance Radio, WRRD, 1510 AM, Waukesha, Milwaukee.
No wall, no deal. Mudslide rescues. I'm Rich Johnson.
Any solution has to include the wall because without the wall, it all doesn't work.
President Trump clarifying yesterday's words about whether he'll agree to an immigration bill to protect the Dreamers without money for a border wall. Yesterday, he said he would sign whatever bill Congress sends him. The president also says the government's been hurt by what he calls the phony cloud of the Russia investigation. So, will he agree to a sit-down interview with special counsel Robert Mueller?
Certainly I'll see what happens, but when they have no collusion, and nobody's found any collusion at any level, it seems unlikely that you'd even have an interview.
But the special counsel's office has not said either way if it believes there was collusion between Russia and the Trump campaign. It's a rescue, recovery, and search operation all over Santa Barbara County, the scene of the worst mudslides this week that have claimed at least 15 lives. Correspondent Paul Verkaman in Montecito, California, watching a lot of work to rescue people.
There are people who have been cut off by this, huge boulders, trees, power lines. We saw hoist rescues, as they call them, yesterday. That's when they literally get the helicopter and pull people out by helicopter.
At least 100 7-Eleven stores around the country were the targets of raids by immigration agents this morning. And while they arrested some workers, the focus was on management and records that might show patterns of hiring illegal workers. Earlier today, President Trump said he's looking at ways to strengthen the country's libel laws. He called the current laws a sham and disgrace that don't represent American values of fairness. Anxiety in Canada over the possibility of the U.S. pulling out of the North American Free Trade Agreement. It sent stocks of companies that do business across the border down. GM dropped by more than 2%. Beer, wine, and spirits company Constellation Brands lost more than 1%. And near the close, the Dow is down about 17 points, the NASDAQ down 10. I'm Rich Johnson.
I was on Zero Res Madison's Facebook page the other day, and they have almost 2,000 testimonials from local customers. Apparently, I'm not the only one stoked on how cool this company is. A green technology that actually works better and doesn't cost more. It's a no-brainer. I'm in. We are starting our own Devil's Advocates revolution to free your carpets from harsh chemicals and soaps. Call Zero Res today and ask for the Dom and Crute special 608-848-9000 or schedule online at ZeroResMadison.com. Zero Res, spell it forward or backward. It's the right way to clean.
It's a lot easier to measure how many times students use a semicolon correctly in an essay.
Educated educators talking education.
Than it is to measure how many wonderful ideas are in that essay.
Busted Pencils.
There is no teacher shortage.
With Dr. Tim Slecker.
There is a teacher exit.
Featuring Matt Damon's mom.
You want to know what my mom would say?
We've had an intrusion into education.
Busted Pencils Radio. Saturdays at 11 on Resistance Radio.
BLE.
President Trump said he would beat Oprah Winfrey. The first major poll since the question came up comes up with a different answer.
The latest Rasmussen Report survey gives Winfrey a 10-point advantage over the incumbent Trump if she were to run for the White House. Following her powerful speech last Sunday, 48% of likely voters would back Oprah compared to 38% for Trump. However, the poll also said 14% were undecided. Those close to Winfrey indicate she's at least considering the possibility of challenging President Trump in 2020. The president has said he doesn't think she'll run, but that if she does, he'll beat her. I'm John Stolness.
A veteran California Republican Congressman Darrell Issa says he won't seek re-election this year. The 9-term veteran barely won re-election in 2016. Ford and the German parts maker Bosch say they categorically deny claims in a new lawsuit. The companies conspired to cheat on emissions tests for some Ford Super Duty diesel pickups. I'm Rich Johnson.
Rich is just a really good guy. The term good egg isn't enough to describe him. He's also certified organic and free range. Rich puts the cap back on everything. The toothpaste, the olive oil, the shampoo, everything. He lets his 10-year-old nephew beat him at virtual tennis, even though he can straight up slay his 10-year-old nephew in virtual tennis. When the toilet paper is running low, Rich replaces the roll on the actual holder, not just on the back of the toilet. Rich is texting and driving. Rich, no. What are you doing, Rich? I was just telling everyone how great you are. Texting and driving makes good people look bad. Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org. A public service announcement brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad.
Good afternoon. It is 3:05 for 1510 a.m. WRRD, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio. My name is Brian Kelly. Foxconn has extended the eviction date for some renters after questions were raised about the 28-day eviction notices they received. Landlords had already started proceedings to evict 4 families in Sturtevant to clear the way for land purchases by Foxconn. After a reporter from the Journal Sentinel called Foxconn to ask about the evictions, Foxconn said they would give the renters at least 90 days to find new homes and move. Foxconn is the company from Taiwan that is scheduled to receive $3 billion from Wisconsin taxpayers and another $764 million from local governments to build a factory in Racine County that may employ up to 13,000 people. Tonight, 40% chance of rain, lows in the low 40s. Tomorrow, rain likely, temperatures falling throughout the day. Currently 41 degrees in Milwaukee and 40 in Waukesha. For 1510 AM, WRRD, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio. My name is Brian Kelly.
The following program is a presentation of DC Communications, LLC. Warning, you are about to listen to the greatest radio show ever. And due to contractual obligations and to shield our airwaves corporate licensees from any semblance of liability, responsibility, and gullibility, we must tell you the views represented on this show are not necessarily those of this station or its management. This radio show contains differing points of view on current political topics, and due to the nature of its contents, it should be heard by everyone. Thank you for listening.
3, 2, 1.
Now live from the heart of liberal Wisconsin, where the political party is just beginning, welcome to the Devil's Advocate Show. Best friends proving it's never personal, only politics.
Please allow me to introduce myself.
Now here are your hosts, Dom and Crute.
Welcome back. Hour 2 of the Devil's Advocates Radio Show. And Dom, for a change, I'd like to start with some good news.
Come on, we're always starting good news, aren't we?
Here's some good news.
All
for
right.
all the fine progressives out there listening to my voice. Republican Rep. Darrell Issa retiring from Congress.
It's about time.
You know, it's a lot easier to have a wave when a lot of incumbents get the hell out of the way.
Why do you think they're getting the hell out of the way? They just feel that
they know the wave is coming.
They've served their community. They've done their duty.
More time with family.
Public servants to spend more time with family. And
More
friends.
time counting his money. He's quite a wealthy man, that Darrell Issa. Quite eccentric.
Is that what you call it?
Yeah, amongst other things. He's known for flipping off reporters if he doesn't want to answer their questions.
Ooh.
That's how I'd do it if I were a politician.
Hey, tough guy.
Hey, one no comment, and then it's the old bird. Donald Trump kind of gave Dianne Feinstein the bird today. After statesmanship, or from Trump's perspective.
I think
though.
from Trump's in post-Trump attacks Feinstein. Or the GOP to women on your committees. That's what Trump's really saying. Here's what he says in the article. Trump labeled Democrat Senator Dianne Feinstein as sneaky. In a Twitter attack Wednesday morning, and urged Republicans to take control of the sprawling investigation into his administration and campaign and potential collusion with Russia.
Isn't this describing more obstruction of justice when you instruct Republicans to take control of an investigation of you? Are you not in some way publicly obstructing justice?
I would think it's another, if nothing else, more supporting.
I suspect Mueller's got stronger evidence than this.
Yeah, but it's not like he's ever said, you know what, act absolutely independently. Whatever you find, follow. I'm not going to say anything about this.
Anybody without an R behind their name knew that Donald Trump's goose was cooked the day he went on Lester Holt and said, I fired Comey over the Russia. The rest of this is just steps to the impeachment as far as I'm concerned.
Well, and that's just on, that's just on the obstruction of justice charges, let alone the underlying criminality potentially of, decades of money laundering and dealing with gangsters. But I continue. Trump attacked Feinstein for releasing a transcript of private testimony from Fusion GPS co-founder Glenn Simpson on Tuesday, testimony from last summer that Republicans on the Senate Judiciary Committee had declined to release. Maybe releasing that testimony would go against their narratives, but I again continue. Simpson's political intelligence firm commissioned a dossier into Trump's Russia ties, and Republicans have used Simpson as a cudgel against the probe into the White House, saying that the dossier helped spur the investigation and should be discredited. Senator Charles Grassley, a Republican from Iowa, the committee chair, and Lindsey Graham, a Republican from South Carolina, also on the committee with Feinstein, made a criminal referral to the Justice Department suggesting it investigate Christopher Steele, the British ex-spy who produced the dossier for Fusion, for possibly lying to the FBI. Trump has attacked the dossier and called it very fake. No, Crudy, not just your over every
regular old
fake, very fake,
extremely fake.
Although its contents have not been proved or disproved. The fact that sneaky Dianne Feinstein, who has on numerous occasions stated that collusion between Trump-Russia has not been found, would release testimony in such an underhanded and possibly illegal way, totally without authorization, is a disgrace. Must have tough primary, Trump tweeted.
May I interrupt?
Please.
In some way, shape, or form, did she not release the evidence of Trump collusion? I mean, I know I got a little fuzzy on the details. That was yesterday.
A lot happens in 24 hours.
But part of this disclosure, wasn't it sort of undermining of Trump's take that this is fake news?
Well, Trump and the Republicans that were cherry-picking certain facts and trying to push their own narrative in order to deflect away from what could very well be crimes.
But my understanding, the FBI accepted the veracity of the Trump dossier because they already had a deep throat on the inside on the Trump team that was giving them much the same information.
Now, my understanding, I saw reporting...
That was part of what was reported yesterday in the Feinstein.
Further reporting last night I saw on CNN was saying that particular leak was Papadopoulos. I haven't seen it anymore this morning.
Oh, that Papadopoulos was the...
that inside resource.
The one that... why would we believe it was Papadopoulos? This is the same guy that lied to the FBI. This is the same guy that was trying to make the meetings with Trump in Russia, right? Why would I believe that Papadopoulos was the one that would call the FBI and self-report? Hey, you should see some of the crazy stuff I've been doing, some of the meetings I'm trying to make on behalf of the boss. That part seems confusing to me. I'm sorry. Perhaps Mueller will shed light someday, Dom, but that one's still confusing. Yes?
We'll continue on with the Feinstein piece. I'll see what CNN said specifically about that Papadopoulos being the leak.
Minutes after he slammed Feinstein on Twitter on Wednesday, Trump returned to the Russia investigation, which he called the single greatest witch hunt in American history, and added that Russia and the world is laughing at the stupidity they are witnessing. Yes, I think that might be true, Dom. But not for the reasons that Trump thinks. The investigation, led by special counsel Robert S. Mueller III, has led to a guilty plea from former Trump National Security Advisor Michael Flynn and charges against former Trump campaign chairman Paul Manafort. A number of Trump's closest aides and associates have been interviewed, including his son-in-law and senior advisor Jared Kushner. The investigation is expected to last through the year. Now, here's another one, Dom. I don't know if you noted at this little presser today, but Trump refused for like the second time this week to say whether or not he's going to meet with the Mueller team. Now, once upon a time, not so long ago, hell yeah.
Ain't nothing to hide.
I'll meet with Mueller.
Open book, except for my taxes. I can't release them. I'm under audit.
Talked about on the show yesterday, Justice Napolitano, the legal analyst of Fox News, said, no, don't go there.
You're screwed.
It's a trap. Do not go there. Do not give testimony to Mueller. Now he's sort of, we'll see. We'll see.
Do we have, Fancy Brian, do we have some Trump cuts from today from the presser with the Prime Minister of Norway or somebody like that?
We'll let you call the order, Brian. Let's just start playing them.
We'll say this. There is collusion, but it's really with the Democrats and the Russians far more than it is with the Republicans and the Russians. So the witch hunt continues.
But that implies there's collusion on both sides.
This is
far more collusion on their side than our collusion.
Side. But so therefore, is he not admitting there is collusion?
As much as we'd like to hold him for what he just said, Dom, like, hey, he just confessed. One must understand this is a man that's very imprecise with his words. I don't know if we could hold up that confession.
Well, no, absolutely we can, because just because he's consistently imprecise with his words doesn't mean it means it's any less damning. Let's continue, please, Brian.
Well, Dom, he's not under oath today.
We'll see what happens. I mean, certainly I'll see what happens. But when they have no collusion and nobody's found any collusion at any level, it seems unlikely that you'd even have an interview.
Well, why a cover-up Why obstruction of justice if there's no underlying criminality? If there's no collusion, and he probably knows there is legally collusion, it's not a crime. Conspiracy, treason, there's other crimes that might be included in there, but he's glommed onto the fact that collusion technically is not really a crime. It's not really a legal term per se. I think in some civil suits. But that doesn't mean that obstruction, as in obstruction of justice, is, if not a crime. If you can't hold him accountable legally, you could certainly use this conduct to impeach the man. I think that's what was on Nixon's impeachment.
Let's keep going. We got a couple more, Brian.
I realize Nixon had the good sense to resign. We'll see if Trump follows suit.
All right, 3 more. Here is Donald Trump from today.
It's a Democrat hoax that was brought up as an excuse for losing an election that, frankly, the Democrats should have won because they have such a tremendous advantage in the Electoral College. So it was brought up for that reason.
Now, again, this comes on the heels of Feinstein releasing the transcripts of this testimony by Simpson from GPS Fusion. It was not a Democrat hoax. This was an investigation by well-paid PIs, I would call them.
PIs, former journalists, former Wall Street Journal guys.
And this is what they do. They provided information to the federal government in other cases. This was not, and I absolutely disagree. I don't know how we can say that knowing that the testimony of those who were deep in this investigation and the concerns that they had regarding this investigation could say that this was prompted by the DNC. Let's continue. 2 more, please.
Let's play a quick game of guessing here.
Yeah.
Guess what he brings up right now.
Hillary. Yes.
Hillary was not for a strong military, and Hillary, my opponent, was for windmills, and she was for other types of energy that don't have the same capacities at this moment, certainly.
Capacities?
Well, he was questioned about withdrawing from the Paris Climate Accord. And he said, well, we didn't talk about that. And maybe, I'm not sure if exactly. I was watching some of this in real time. I don't recall that was the point where he pivoted to Hillary and windmills. Don Quixote or actual windmills, that churn out electricity every time the wind blows. Which to me, I know it's not forever and always, but it's every frickin' day that I recall in history. The wind's always blowing.
The capacity. 1 more. Let's finish punishing our fine audience.
I've been in office now for 11 months. For 11 months, they've had this phony cloud over this administration, over our government. And it has hurt our government. It does hurt our government.
A phony cloud. It's a phony cloud. It's not a cloud brought on by the actions of this president and this administration, and along with all the Republicans who went along to get Neil Gorsuch?
He's like Pigpen. The kid from Charlie Brown that's always got that.
He's got a cloud around him. Yeah.
He's like the Pigpen of Russian collusion. There's always 3 oligarchs swirling around the man at any given time.
It's just chaos. That's all that is. It's just chaos.
It is chaos.
He's the king of chaos.
We were at his inauguration less than a year ago.
And
it seems like the longest
time,
year of my life. I mean, every day is the 3 days before Christmas, where it just seems like an excruciating long period of time. You want to know what Santa brought? Well, Santa brought you coal. Santa brought you Trump. And every day is longer than the one before it, and every day gets a little worse. And every day, he, so far, is still the president, Tom. So I look forward to the actual Christmas day. Mueller Christmas, perhaps. Can't wait for that report to come out. It's got to be this year. I mean, you cannot allow the American people to go through another elective cycle without knowing the truth about their government. You got a president in bed with Putin.
He said there's no collusion. Nothing.
Well, if he said it, it must be true. He's got such a track record of honesty.
Yeah.
And then, of course, there's the Republicans, be it Speaker Ryan.
Yes, Speaker Ryan.
Or McConnell, or Devin Nunes.
Yes.
Or any number of others. They're all complicit in the crime, if not before the fact, certainly after the fact. Folks, we are the Devil's Advocates. Come back with us. Join us on the phones. They're open right now to you at 844-967-2789.
But there's been no collusion, no obstruction, and virtually everybody agrees to that.
Fake. I tell you, I gotta plead ignorance on this thing, because if anyone had said anything to me at all when I first started here that sort of thing was frowned upon...
Smoke! I'm probably okay to have one more drink before I drive home. I'm probably okay. I open the window to stay alert. Probably okay. I just popped some gum in my mouth.
Step out of the car, please.
I probably made a mistake.
Probably okay isn't okay when it comes to drinking and driving. If you see a warning sign, stop and call a cab, a car, or a friend. Buzzed driving is drunk driving. A message brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Music is a bridge between the material and the spiritual. My name is Harvey Lauer, and I'm 82. As a blind person, you have to be aware that nobody can tell you what you can or can't do. You really have to try things. My folks got me a little radio in 1940, and that was the best Christmas present I ever got. When I was 11 years old is when I started to play music, play the piano, and then the accordion, and then the cello. My wife, who was also blind, was a good cook. When she died, that's when I started Meals on Wheels. America, let's do lunch.
1 in 6 seniors faces the threat of hunger, and millions more live in isolation. Drop off a hot meal and say a quick hello. Volunteer for Meals on Wheels by donating your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org. This message brought to you by Meals on Wheels America and the Ad Council.
Okay, forest animals, kids are coming to the forest, and it's up to us to make their visit a good one. Sparrow, have you practiced the most popular bird songs for the year?
Of course.
Catchy. I like it. River, how's the temperature?
It's a refreshing 52 degrees, man.
I love it. Turtle.
He's not here yet, man.
He's late every morning. Okay. Squirrel.
The forest has been preparing just for you. To learn more about cool things to do in the forest, visit discovertheforest.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
Wisconsin Republican Attorney General Brad Schimmel claims he will further investigate the investigators of the John Doe 2 investigation because it was all a partisan witch hunt. Wisconsin State Rep Chris Taylor said this.
There is absolutely no concern expressed by this Attorney General or these Republican legislators.
Schimmel fails to acknowledge the 6 criminal convictions, 4 felonies of the Scott Walker John Doe 1. Was that also a partisan witch hunt?
One newspaper has done a good job. It's a national paper, the Wall Street Journal.
And AG Schimmel filed an embarrassing hack partisan bull report where he's still looking for the leaker. Get a clue! Wasn't it Eric O'Keefe from Wisconsin Club for Growth?
Well, I was born to do this.
This message was paid for by the People for People Corporation. Donate online at p4ppc.org, p4ppc.org.
Do you own a rental property, or would you like to partner with a rental investment team? Call the pros you can trust at CCL Management. Rental expertise second to none, a general contractor on staff to direct repairs and improvements, and real estate brokerage services tailored to the small investor. If you're ready to invest in rental property or just need professionals to manage your real estate portfolio, call us, CCL Management, at 608-833-0009 or visit us on the web at cclmanagement.com.
Live via phone, he is former U.S. Attorney Jim Santel.
Firing Bob Mueller doesn't mean that the prosecution, the investigation goes away. Pardoning one individual does not mean that you undo everything that has been done before. So this notion that somehow by shutting down and by pardoning and by sort of stopping the process, you're also stopping the wheels of justice is simply, again, it's simply wrong.
The Devil's Advocates, weekday afternoons on 1510 a.m., Wisconsin's Resistance Radio.
Charged, never convicted. Dom and Croat are the Devil's Advocates.
Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show live on Wisconsin's Resistance Radio, WRRD 1510 AM. You can join us on the phones, 844-967-2789.
Dominic, we've got to find guests coming along soon. He's a state rep, a Democrat, Evan Goyke, and he had a proposal, and it looks like wankinators trying to appropriate it, plagiarize it, steal it. And, of course, the topic of this proposal is Lincoln Hills. New outrage. We'll talk about it with Goike in just a few minutes. But we got a couple callers, and we'd like to go to them next. 844-967-2789.
Pizza Box Mike, you are up. Thanks for calling, man. What do you got today?
Yeah, how much more Republican could it get on the Russian thing? I mean, Comey and Mueller are both Republicans. I mean, don't you remember? We even hated Comey for a little while.
But you can't talk about that. They've somehow turned flaming liberal since they started investigating Trump.
Yeah. Well, speaking of that, what about, like, California? Did Trump ever say anything about the fire there or the mudslides that are killing people now? Or Puerto Rico? So I guess wherever it's not one of his strongholds, where he doesn't have, like, his idiot moron, what is it, Cleve the Tillerson, Zephyr morons, right? Anyway, wherever those guys aren't, then I guess he doesn't support anybody in this country, right? I mean, there's so many people that he's just ruining right now.
It is pretty conspicuous, the difference in his reaction to, let's say, a hurricane in Houston or a hurricane in San Juan.
Where?
Or mudslides in Southern California.
No comments on that, but I'm sure he's working very hard on the fake news awards. You know, there's been the huge demand, and his performance yesterday in that meeting, I mean, it's gotten great reviews. Just ask him.
You think he'll bring back Spicer or maybe the Mooch to be the host of the fake news dishonorable awards? We've got Evan Goike coming next. The headline at the Journal-Sentinel this afternoon, Wisconsin teen prison guards facing possible charges for breaking a teen's arm and leaving him naked in the cell for hours. Not only that, this 16-year-old, he was 5'2", 130 pounds. After they broke his arm, they took him to the doctor a week later.
That's justice under Governor Scott Walker.
I think we need to close Lincoln Hills now. We need to go to break and come back with Evan Goike, fine state Democratic rep. More devil's advocates.
I love being governor.
Have you ever been in a Turkish prison?
No! Why is Connor having trouble focusing in school?
Having trouble finding Connor's middle school? Would you like directions?
No, why is Connor having trouble focusing in school?
Finding lowest airfare to Istanbul.
No, I'm tired of fighting with him over homework.
Home Walk Restaurant. Need a review?
No, I need help. He's very smart, but his mind wanders. He's disorganized.
I think I understand.
Oh, good.
Finding best potatoes for French fries.
No!
Russet. Fingerling. Yukon Gold.
Why don't you understand me?
Sorry, I was trying to show how Connor feels every day. Frustrating, isn't it? Redirecting to understood.org.
For the 1 in 5 kids with learning and attention issues, this is what life can feel like. Explore understood.org, a free online resource about learning and attention issues, designed to help your child thrive in school and in life. Understood.org, because understanding is everything.
Brought to you by understood.org and the Ad Council.
The Stephanie Miller Show is on twice daily, 6 to 9 p.m. and midnight to 3 a.m. You can stream The Stephanie Miller Show and all of our fine programming on newstalk1510am.com.
Going through divorce is a very emotional time in someone's life, and when I went through my first divorce, I really needed someone to help me through the legal aspects of what my rights were. That's why I got in contact with Lawton & Cates.
The attorneys at Lawton & Cates. It's who you turn to for legal advice. 282-6200 or lawtoncates.com.
When you need an attorney, trust the voice of experience. The only choice, Lawton & Cates.
Have a drink at Regano's Roman Coin. This neighborhood corner tavern is as classic as the street it occupies. Family owned and operated since 1966, Regano's Roman Coin is located in a former Pabst Tide House on historic Brady Street, serving an array of craft beers with a focus on Wisconsin breweries. Also, weekly drink specials, trivia on Wednesdays, seasonal sporting events, parties hosted for all occasions, and pet friendly. Open 11 a.m. Tuesday through Friday, 10 a.m. Saturday and Sunday, closed on Monday. Regano's Roman Coin, Milwaukee's pet friendly, cash only ordering classic corner tavern.
People are always looking to invest in a good opportunity. So what if you could invest in the future of kids, like a stock? Not the kind of stock that's about making money, but a stock for social change, called Better Futures. With your investment, it helps students like me go to college. My name is Charles, and I'm your dividend.
Invest in better futures with UNCF. Visit uncf.org/invest. A mind is a terrible thing to waste, but a wonderful thing to invest in. Brought to you by UNCF and the Ad Council.
Join the Resistance, WRRD, Resistance Radio. Tune in Monday through Friday beginning at 7 a.m. The Earl Ingram Show starts your day from 7 to 9. Then join Brian and Daryl for 414 Wisconsin from 9 to 11. You can hear the Tom Hartman program from 11 to 2. Then from 2 to 5, it's the Devil's Advocates with Dom and Crute. Tune in to 1510 a.m. throughout the day. WRRD, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio.
Good afternoon. It is 3:32 for 1510 a.m. WRRD, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio. My name is Brian Kelly. Another candidate joined the race for lieutenant governor today. Former Milwaukee State Rep Mandela Barnes announced his candidacy today on the Earl Ingram Show.
So my next step is I am right here on your show. I am announcing that I will be running for lieutenant governor in this upcoming election.
Barnes says he is running as a champion of education access, economic possibilities, and environmental protection. He currently works for the State Innovation Exchange. Mayor Soglin also jumped on in the race for governor. He's planning events today in Milwaukee, Madison, and Waukesha to launch his campaign. With Soglin's entrance into the race, the Democratic field for governor is now up to 9 candidates with name recognition. Tonight, a 40% chance of rain, lows in the low 40s. Currently 42 degrees in Milwaukee and 40 in Waukesha. For 1510 a.m. WRRD, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio, my name is Brian Kelly.
Grass-fed, locally raised, 100% organic. Dom and Crute are the Devil's Advocates.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates radio show. Dominic, we are joined right now live via phone by a fine state rep, a Democrat. He is Evan Goyke. It's been too long, sir. Happy New Year's. Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates.
Thank you for having me. I just want to make a quick announcement. I am not running for governor or lieutenant governor or really anything else. So, but thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
Well, thanks anyway. Evan, nice talking to you, man.
Yeah, okay.
We were looking for a campaign announcement, sir.
Sorry to disappoint.
Evan, you know, what's disappointed me quite a bit is Governor Scott Walker over the last 6 or 7 years, really since he was first elected. And the topic today, Lincoln Hills. New outrage being reported by the Journal Sentinel. This story a little old, but it's just coming to light now. There was apparently a young man, a juvenile offender, who was had his arm broken. He was stripped naked, and the broken arm was not treated for approximately a week, sir. Evan, not surprising, predicated on some of the prior headlines we've seen out of Lincoln Hills, but still a head shaker. What was your reaction when you heard this newest news?
It's horrific. It's a tragedy. I'm happy that the federal prosecutors are investigating it. Seems like some internal reviews and investigations were woefully inadequate, with a lot of internal folks saying that this was acceptable behavior or an acceptable use of force, and clearly prosecutors today, or at least the announcement today, is that prosecutors disagree and that they're looking into and hopefully hold these individuals accountable. It is another reminder, although it's conduct that happened a few years ago, just one more reminder why the legislature should hurry up and fix this issue, not wait till the next governor is elected, and work to start closing Lincoln Hills today.
Evan, you make an excellent point. Why are we keeping it open? I know that Governor Walker has made a recent half-hearted proposal to close it eventually, and then came around and said, well, maybe sooner than eventually, but why not now? Evan, is it feasible to close this facility now? Would we even have bed space? Would we have place to put these juveniles if we closed it right now?
I think that's the big challenge. I think there is a lack of alternatives. This is our only Type 1 juvenile prison in the state. And that's a lot of the reason why this is a lot of problems have generated out of there is because to have one big prison away from the major population centers is a bad model for juvenile corrections. It doesn't work. So we do have to have alternatives in place to move the juveniles there from Lincoln Hills and then close it down. And the plan that the governor has announced is, I think, modeled in large part after a bill that I introduced to then turn the facility into an adult institution. And my plan has it really focusing on AODA treatment and vocational training. To answer your question, it is probably a no. Tomorrow, we don't have capacity that I'm aware of around the state for this type of facility, which is all the more reason why we shouldn't wait for summer of 2019 to start planning and building or renovating facilities to house these youth. Let's do it right now so that we can expedite the process so that we're ready to go faster. I mean, and just like we're talking about with this headline, I don't think we're going to see changes up there until we come up and close the facility and do something different.
Evan, a lot of this stems from the fact that Governor Walker closed Ethan Allen juvenile facility locally here not so long ago. Any chance that Ethan Allen could be opened back up for this type of facility?
I don't think so. From all reports that I've heard, and I have not been on campus at Ethan Allen since I was a very young lawyer working a case where my client was located there, and I'm told that the facilities of Ethan Allen at the time and worse now have substantial mold and asbestos issues, and that there are major capital expenses to the point that renovating may be more expensive than starting over from scratch. So I know that property, or that the state still owns the land and the structures. Certainly, there should be a conversation about whether that's a place for the location of a new facility. But I'm told that it would be quite expensive to renovate those facilities to make it habitable again.
Folks, you are listening to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show on WRRD 1510 AM, Wisconsin's only resistance radio. Got a fine guest live via phone, Milwaukee's own Wisconsin State Rep Evan Goyke, a Democrat. The topic, Evan, as we've mentioned, Lincoln Hills. If the governor, and I realize suddenly this man that had no sympathy, no compassion for juvenile offenders who have been sort of abandoned at Lincoln Hills, never visited this facility, and now what I perceive to be an election year punt wants to turn the page, doesn't want to be associated with what he's been ignoring for the last 6 years. But Evan, what sort of reassurance, if this governor was reelected, God forbid, what reassurance would we have that Lincoln Hills would ever close? How do we know that this isn't just an election year turn of the page, and next year, there's not the resources to do it, so screw the kids?
So look, I'm not suggesting to the audience that they disagree with the things that you've said or that they believe every word that the governor says. All I can do, I can't control him. I can only control me. And so the only promise that I can give you and to the listeners is that I've been working on this issue for years. We've put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears into opening and educating the minds of my majority party colleagues, and I'm not going anywhere. My intention is to get reelected as well. My intention is to continue to hammer this issue day after day after day until we get it closed. So the only thing I can say to really answer your question is I can't guarantee that the governor will follow through with his word. I can guarantee that I'm going to be in the state capitol every day that I can, working on this issue until it's done. And I think I'm going to win. I'd bet on me.
Evan,
I bet on myself every day.
Evan, even if the governor does the right thing, quote unquote, it'll be for all the wrong reasons. Again, I look at this as just election year politics, sir. I would wonder why this governor, who, has been a friend to the prison industry, we as a state, and this governor was a state legislature who pushed the truth in sentencing laws. We've got truly disparate outcomes with states like Minnesota right across the river. They don't incarcerate the number of people that we do in the state of Wisconsin. They don't burn through resources to the tune of $2.6 billion per biannual budget, to my understanding. Evan, this guy, talking about Governor Scott Walker, he never gave a damn about inmates and then suddenly it's an election year, and as you mentioned, it seems a lot like your proposal. Well, that's because, sir, he stole your proposal. Do you take offense to it?
It's a challenge to be in office, but I just can't care about the intentions, because long after I'm gone, if we make this positive change and we reform juvenile corrections, some young person's life is going to be made way better because they didn't have to go up to Lincoln Hills. They didn't have to have their arm broken or be traumatized by being left naked in a room. And so I have to put aside. It's not about me. It's not about my credit or anything. It's about 5-10 years from now, the treatment of our young people. And let me also say it's about safety. Effective juvenile corrections, this new model that we can adopt. One of the numbers that I want your listeners to pay attention to, it's critical for me in my neighborhood, is the recidivism rate. Recidivism is the rate at which incarcerated individuals re-offend. And right now at Lincoln Hills, the boys that come out at a rate of about 2 out of every 3 commit another crime within the first 3 years of being released. And if we can get that number down, and maybe it'll never be 0, but if we can get it down from 2 out of 3 to 1 out of 3, that means the less crime victims. That means less adult men in prison, and that means less crime on the block I live on. So it is challenging. All the politics behind the motivations and intentions and the timing of the announcement, I have to just try my hardest to ignore, because it's not about me. It's about my community and those young people that are going to come after me.
Reform advocate, but what does that mean to you, and how do the current laws and justice system here in the state of Wisconsin play into that? It's beyond just the corrections portion itself, isn't it?
Yeah, it's okay. So we have a long way to go. I mean, we have a long way to go, and your listeners should pay attention. We're going to have a debate in the legislature over the coming years about whether or not to build a new prison, and estimates put the cost of that construction at about $300 million, plus the annual operational costs, which will be over $10 million plus. And we shouldn't do that. We don't need to do that. We shouldn't spend that much money on prisons. We should invest it elsewhere. And so we need to reform a whole host of policies and laws that apply within the walls of a prison, and to how men and women reintegrate to the community and the revocation process. But what you've pointed out is that you can't just control outputs and expect massive change to happen. You also have to control inputs. And so that's a review of really asking tough questions. Are we arresting the right people? Are we confining the right people? For example, how do we handle drug addiction? How do we handle those with a mental illness? Is there not some better system that we could design that would more effectively and humanely rehabilitate people with addiction or mental illness? And I argue strongly that those laws and models exist. And so this is in my mind, a positive step about Lincoln Hills. I hope it's a crack in the door opening to broader criminal justice reforms. My job is to kick that door open and really bring meaningful reform in Wisconsin.
Evan, I got to ask you, the attitude towards those that offend, and we are broadcasting here from Milwaukee. You serve a constituency here in Milwaukee, and there is I want to make sure I've got his title correct, a Milwaukee alder, Robert Donovan, who is being quoted in the paper today saying the city is being terrorized by villains, and I'm not fabricating or falsifying. There definitely seems to be this stigma that is attached to the city of Milwaukee and the people that live here, and I think there's almost a racial tinge sometimes to the conversations had as people are described as animals and villains and criminals. Evan, how much of this is a perception issue, and how much of this is an inability, as you mentioned, to take the right people off the streets problem?
So I live on 27th and State in the near west side, north side of Milwaukee. My neighborhood is identified as a high crime neighborhood, one of the I don't have a current stat, but it used to be one of the top 10 highest crime neighborhoods, and I am alive and kicking. Despite all of the saber rattling that you'll read in the newspaper, my family and I exist quite peacefully, actually, day in and day out. Now, that's not to say that crime is not a problem or not a reality in many of the neighborhoods of the city of Milwaukee. I don't want to criticize one person and then do the exact same thing by not being honest and truthful. We have to reduce crime in Milwaukee, but I don't think it's an honest comparison to say that the city is being overrun or taken over when crime is down compared to where it was historically in the 1990s or in periods in the 2000s. And there are spikes. There are spikes in 2015 in homicide, 2016, and then there are reductions. And so 2017 we saw a reduction in auto thefts after a very high year. This press conference is a great way to get your name in the paper and your face on TV. What I'm really interested in is solving it. And that's hard, and that's not easy. And plans that I've been working on are to try to better target the resources we have, the resources of incarceration, on those that are really violent and not on those that have addiction issues or mental illness, where we could more effectively treat them in the community.
Evan, we're going to turn the page on a few, let's call it prominent local law enforcement officials. Sheriff David A. Clark, he's already out. Flynn has already announced his impending retirement. Is this a good opportunity to turn the page here in Milwaukee, be it on the county level, the city level, and try new policies going forward and perhaps try to stem this crime?
Yeah, it's a perfect opportunity. I'm glad that you bring that up, and not just to take a thorough examination of what we do well and what we do not do well, but to listen. To listen to people throughout our community to see what they want, or to have them, to say what's working or what's not working. From my perspective, in the neighborhoods that I represent, including my own, that have seen the most impressive reductions of crime, it's been house by house, block by block, neighborhood by neighborhood. So community policing, community prosecution, problem solving with local businesses, local property owners, local nonprofits and faith communities. So I'm really hoping, I've seen it work well in my area. I'm really hoping that the future leaders of our criminal justice system wholeheartedly embrace it, and we expand it beyond one or two neighborhoods and take it citywide.
Wisconsin State Rep, fine Democrat Evan Goyke, thank you so much for joining us here today. He represents the 18th Assembly District, and apparently he does the homework for the governor of the state of Wisconsin, at least in regards to dealing with juvenile offenders. We appreciate what you're doing, Evan. We'll look forward to speaking with you again soon in the new year.
Thank you. Keep up the great work, guys.
Thanks, Evan.
Thank you. Folks, we are the Devil's Advocates. I'm so glad when the state lawmakers acknowledge the fine work that we do here, Dom.
Yeah.
Some of the finest.
Well, we're
some of the most stable geniuses that I'm
aware
of.
Most stable and the most brilliant stable. I think we need to get into some of this Patrick Marley piece in the Journal Sentinel, and we'll take some callers on the other side of this break. 844-967-2789.
But if I'm right, and we can stop this thing, you will have saved the lives of millions of registered voters.
Make a resolution, Milwaukee, to eat your fruits and vegetables. Go to the new Pete's Fruit Market on Martin Luther King and North Ave. Find the freshest fruit, always the perfect peach. Pete's Fruit Market is a brand new, modern, full-service grocery with an in-store butcher shop. Go see the manager, Vidal, for daily specials at the new Pete's Fruit Market on North Ave in MLK. Tell them that the Devil's Advocate sent you. Hi, I'm Crudy. I'm here with Bill Carroll, president of Teamsters Local 344. Bill, why are you union? Teamster strong.
Well, Crudy, Our strength comes from our membership. The Teamsters are North America's strongest labor union with 1.4 million members.
Bill, what does the Teamsters do for the next generation?
The same thing that the Teamsters have done for the last 100 years, assisting groups of workers in negotiating improvements in their wages, hours, and working conditions.
Where do people go if they want to know more about the Teamsters, more about joining the union?
There's 3 easy options. They can call Local 344 at 414-258-4545. They can contact us through our website. That's local344.org. Local, the number is 344.org, or they can contact us through the Local 344 Facebook page.
Be union strong. Join Teamsters 344. Be like Rudy. Be like News Talk 1510 AM. Stand with the unions. Join the Teamsters. Local344.org.
The Resistance is live 7 days a week here on 1510 AM WRRD, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio. Tune in Sundays for Meet the Press with Chuck Todd from 11 a.m. to noon. Then it's the Jeff Santos Show, kicking ass for the middle class from 12 to 3 p.m. And Citizen Action's Battleground Wisconsin rages from 3 to 4 p.m. Get your groove on with Stu Man PM, politics and music, 4 to 6 p.m. with Stu Daniels. Always streaming at newstalk1510am.com, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio.
Hi, this is Brad Saug, owner of Zero Res Madison Carpet Cleaning. Zero Res is the best new technology in carpet cleaning. We have a patented process using empowered water, a high-tech process in which we force the water to act like soap. It doesn't want to stay in that state. It's jacked up and it's angry and it wants to hit the dirt and then it neutralizes. When we're done, all that's left in your carpet is just light moisture. In the end, you get the cleanest, greenest, healthiest carpet cleaning available. Call us at 848-9000. Zero Res. Spell it backward or forward. It's the right way to clean.
Take a look under your bed. Find stuff under there? What about jobs? No? Now try your basement. There's a pair of overalls that overall you're not so into anymore. A perfectly good laptop that hasn't sat in your lap in months. And even more stuff, but still no jobs? Well, you really have both. See, stuff is defined as household articles considered as a group. Sometimes this stuff is no longer needed. Wait, no longer needed? That can't be right. Because remember those jobs you were looking for? Those are really needed, and they're the stuff inside your stuff. Even inside that winter coat that moved with you to Phoenix. Our job is to unlock those jobs, and it starts when you donate your stuff to your local Goodwill. Here's how we do it. When you donate to Goodwill, we sell your stuff to provide job training for people right here in your community. So just by teaming up with Goodwill, you help create jobs. And isn't that worth parting with the leftover guitar from your 80s cover band? Goodwill. Donate stuff, create jobs. Find your nearest donation center at goodwill.org. A message from Goodwill and the Ad Council.
I'm probably okay to have one more drink before I drive home. I'm probably okay. I open the window to stay alert. Probably okay. I just popped some gum in my mouth.
Step out of the car, please.
I probably made a mistake.
Probably okay isn't okay when it comes to drinking and driving. If you see a warning sign, stop and call a cab, a car, or a friend. Buzzed driving is drunk driving. A message brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
The Devil's Advocates, the fix for political junkies everywhere.
And we are back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show live on Wisconsin's Resistance Radio, 1510 AM WRRD. You can join us on the phones, 844-967-2789.
And thank you to State Rep Evan Goyke for joining us on this big program. We appreciate it, sir. And some troubling headlines out of the state of Wisconsin. Dom, let's go there next. We'll take your calls in the 4 o'clock hour. We're running out of time here. Lots to jam in. Federal prosecutors are investigating an incident in which prison guards allegedly stormed into a disruptive 16-year-old inmate cell, broke his arm, strip searched him, left him naked for hours, and didn't get him to a doctor for more than a week. Let's not forget, with a broken arm. Details of the March 2014 encounter at Lincoln Hill School for Boys emerged in interviews with the inmate and his mother, state records, and a civil rights lawsuit the inmate filed last month, just after prosecutors notified 2 former guards they could be indicted. Here's a quote. Dom, Jacob Bailey, the former inmate's name, I told him, "You're breaking my arm. You're breaking my arm." And he kept pulling it harder. The Lincoln Hill Sheriff's Office and prison officials reviewed the incident at the time and determined little had gone wrong. Federal prosecutors are taking a differing view, Dom.
He was sent to Lincoln Hills after he got in a fight at a treatment center. He was angry he was sent there for the second time. He kicked him, banged on the door. Prison records said he also blocked the camera in his room. Guards told him he would need ice. When he asked why, they said he would need to soothe his wounds, Bailey said in the interview in his lawsuit. The guards charged into his room, brought him to his hands and knees. An officer twisted his arms behind his back for several minutes, according to state records. They told him he was sorry. They told him to say he was sorry for covering the camera and threatened to knock out his teeth, according to the lawsuit. When he started to cry, they called him a little bitch and told him to stop crying, the suit said.
Bailey said he told the guards he thought his arm was broken, but they ignored his pleas for help and told him to strip for a search. Taking off his clothes was painful because of the arm injury, he said. Guards believed he had a screw he could use to hurt himself or others, but they did not find one. They left him naked in his cell, and more than an hour later, they gave him socks, and 2 hours after that, pants, according to a lawsuit. Bailey said a nurse did visit him hours after the assault, told him his arm was probably broken, and gave him ibuprofen. More than a week later, he saw a doctor in nearby Merrill who determined his arm was fractured above the wrist and put him in a cast. We are the Devil's Advocates. The happy hour is next. Come back with us. Phone lines open, 844-967-2789.
What a nickel. It's empty. The tinsmith forgot to give me a heart. No heart? No heart. All hollow.
We are the People for People Corporation. We are a registered 501c3, totally legit. What do? We take your uncapped, dark money, tax-deductible donations, private or corporate, always anonymous, and we turn it into free speech. You know, educate Wisconsin through advertising, which may or may not be in coordination with the candidate. Isn't that illegal? It should be, but it's not under Wisconsin law, thanks Governor Scott Walker. Politicians in Wisconsin are beholden to the millionaire and billionaire sugar daddy and sugar mamas that finance their campaigns. Time to make them beholden to we the people for People Corporation. Give your tax-deductible donation to the real patriots, the People for People Corporation, P4PPC.org, P4PPC.org.
If you're like a lot of companies, you know you need IT, but you aren't sure where to start. That's where Five Nines comes in. Hi, I'm Todd Stryker, President and CEO. For almost 15 years, Five Nines has been providing IT solutions to companies just like yours. We'll show you the solutions that are right for your business and give you the roadmap to success in the future. Find us at fivenines.com. That's the number 5, NINES.com.
I'm Andy Buck, and I'm proud to be union.
Tell me about the underground economy.
Well, the underground economy is essentially workers being exploited, and they're being exploited all over the state. They're working for no benefits, no retirement, and if you don't join your brothers and sisters, you don't respect your craft.
Andy, why should I hire union?
Crudy, you should hire union because you want the job done right the first time. We represent the highest skilled, safety-trained workers in the industries that we represent. Glazers, painters, and drywall finishers. Join us. Painters and Allied Trades, District Council 7.
You are listening to Wisconsin's Resistance Radio, WRRD, 1510 AM, Waukesha, Mill.
Clarified or not, new mudslide damage numbers. I'm Richard Johnson. President Trump clarified one key point from yesterday's big meeting with lawmakers about an immigration bill, then muddied things a bit on another subject. Correspondent Bob Costantini's at the White House.
There was some confusion growing out of Tuesday's broadcast meeting on immigration. Would the president accept a bill legalizing the Dreamers by itself and put aside his demand for border wall funding?
It's got to include the wall. We need the wall for security. We need the wall for safety.
Mr. Trump made it clear during a Wednesday news conference with Norway's prime minister. He was also asked about the pending possibility of being interviewed for the Robert Mueller Russia probe, something he was 100% willing to do this summer.
And certainly I'll see what happens. When they have no collusion, and nobody's found any collusion at any level, it seems unlikely that you'd even have an interview.
Mr. Trump said he'll have to talk with his lawyers. Bob Costantini, the White House.
Very emotional times in Santa Barbara County, California, as people hunt for friends, relatives, and neighbors missing from this week's mudslides.
I put everybody together last night because we're just walking to East Valley Road so we could just find her. You know, I just want to find my friend.
15 people are confirmed dead. Many more are still missing. Santa Barbara County alone counts 100 single-family homes destroyed and about 300 damaged. 18 years in the House is enough for California Republican Darrell Issa, who says he will not seek re-election. If you're legally using marijuana, you're doing it thanks to a citizen referendum. But now Vermont is poised to become the first state to legalize marijuana by an act of the legislature. Vermont lawmakers have approved a recreational pot bill and sent it to the governor. 2 Canadian government officials tell Reuters they're very concerned the U.S. could withdraw from the North American Free Trade Agreement. The news helped send stocks down. The S&P and NASDAQ both closed down for the first time this year. The Dow lost 17 points. I'm Rich Johnson.
Do you own a rental property, or would you like to partner with a rental investment team? Call the pros you can trust at CCL Management. Rental expertise second to none, a general contractor on staff to direct repairs and improvements, and real estate brokerage services tailored to the small investor. If you're ready to invest in rental property or just need professionals to manage your real estate portfolio, call us, CCL Management, at 608-833-0009 or visit us on the web at cclmanagement.com.
That guy is a scary son of a gun, and I hope people start paying attention and get him the heck out of there, because he's like a big fascist general that's controlling our state, and then our attorney general. Wow, that guy ought to be locked up himself. I mean, he makes the sheriff of Milwaukee look kind of saintly.
The Devil's Advocates, weekday afternoons on 1510 AM, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio.
2 Democratic senators want to be able to punish credit card reporting agencies when they lose your data. Elizabeth Warren of Massachusetts is co-sponsor of the measure.
We are introducing a bill today to say that when a credit reporting agency lets your data be stolen, that there are substantial automatic penalties that go into place, and there's money that automatically goes back to the people whose data has been stolen.
Last year, the credit reporting company Equifax was the victim of a breach that compromised the names, social security numbers, and other data of more than 145 million Americans. Under this bill, Equifax would have been penalized to the tune of more than $1.5 billion. Virginia Senator Mark Warner is the other sponsor. Vice President Mike Pence will lead the U.S. delegation to the Winter Olympics next month in South Korea. Pence will also visit Alaska and Japan, stressing the U.S. commitment to stability in the region, says the White House. I'm Richard Johnson.
Unexpected reactions to smart financial decisions brought to you by feedthepig.org.
Well, I finally did it. I improved my credit score.
You're kidding, right?
No.
How are we supposed to be the bad boys of electro-synth pop if you're out there being responsible? The band is about to be discovered. This is our year.
Yeah, you've been saying that for a while now.
You think anyone in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame was worried about their credit score?
I never really thought that.
Of course they weren't. Rock stars aren't supposed to think about that kind of stuff. We're supposed to think about how many guitars we've smashed, write aggressively sensitive power ballads, start questionable fashion trends, tragically break up and blame creative differences.
All right. I thought maybe it was time to take control of my finances, you know? Start using a budget, get out of debt, set some goals.
A budget? Debt? Set some goals? Listen, I knew that we'd have our creative differences, but I was hoping they'd involve a little more scandal.
When it comes to financial stability, don't get left behind. Get tools and tips for saving at feedthepig.org. This message brought to you by the American Institute of CPAs and the Ad Council.
Good afternoon. It is 4:05 for 1510 AM WRRD, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio. My name is Brian Kelly. Wisconsin is spending $1 million to lure young Chicagoans to our state. A new marketing campaign will run through June and aims to persuade young professionals to move across the state line to their north. The campaign emphasizes such Badger State attributes as shorter commutes, lower cost of living, and a variety of recreational and cultural activities. According to the Wisconsin Economic Development Corporation, which launched the campaign, the idea has been in development for almost 2 years. Tonight, a 40% chance of rain, lows in the low 40s. Tomorrow, rain likely, temperatures falling throughout the day. And Friday, mostly sunny, highs in the low 20s. Currently, it is 42 degrees in Milwaukee and 40 in Waukesha. For 1510 AM, WRRD, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio, my name is Brian Kelly.
The following program is a presentation of DC Communications, LLC. Warning, you are about to listen to the greatest radio show ever. And due to contractual obligations and to shield our airwaves corporate licensees from any semblance of liability, responsibility, and gullibility, we must tell you the views represented on this show are not necessarily those of this station or its management. This radio show contains differing points of view on current political topics, and due to the nature of its contents, it should be heard by everyone. Thank you for listening.
3, 2, 1.
Now live from the heart of liberal Wisconsin, where the political party is just beginning, welcome to the Devil's Advocate Show. Best friends proving it's never personal, only politics.
Please allow me to introduce myself.
Now here are your hosts, Dom and Crute.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show. Dominic, we're sliding into the 4 o'clock happy hour down here on Brady Street. We'd be happy if you join the show by calling us. Always toll free, coast to coast, and all around the state of Wisconsin. 844-967-2789. Let's get to the phones. I think Lonnie's been waiting longest. Welcome, Lonnie. How's Albuquerque, man?
Oh, man, we all cloudy and raining, even got snow in the mountains. It's depressing.
Welcome to our world, man.
Yeah, kind of like having to listen to these new politicians. They ain't saying nothing about the new Steele dossier, I noticed. Nor have they said anything about Pence lowering up. And as for everybody else that was on talking, McConnell and all them other fools, I mean, damn, they so quiet. I'm telling you, President, you're like them.
Lonnie, let me ask you about the methods. Dianne Feinstein, obviously without the consent of Chuck Grassley, the chair, she releases this information. And while I enjoy the headlines and, as a radio talk show host, whenever a new dump comes out, we love it. But in the whole scheme of things, was this a preemptive strike? Will this come back to haunt the Democrats on the committee, do you think?
Nah, it ain't going to come back and haunt them. I don't think so.
Do you think it's going to haunt Donald Trump and his defense that this is all fake news now that it's out there in the public purview? It's very hard to say it's fake news, especially when we hear there was a deep throat from within the Trump administration that was corroborating the very same information that apparently is contained in this Fusion GPS dossier compiled by Christopher Steele.
Yeah, it's going to hurt him. Bad. Bigly.
I haven't heard Bigly in a while, man. That's a good one. Lottie, we appreciate you listening. Bigly. Thanks for doing so. We're going to keep moving down the phones. 844-967-2789. Be like Lonnie.
Just one thought, Crudy. You mentioned preemptive strike, by Dianne Feinstein. I think this is a reaction to what the Republicans. I don't think it's preemptive. I think it's in defense of democracy, frankly, because of the way the Republicans have been handling the situation.
Now, would you find it similarly commendable here in the state of Wisconsin for someone to leak, let's say, 1,500 pages of Governor Scott Walker's corruption to The Guardian?
I would say whistleblower. That's what I would say. 844-967-2789. Peter from Florida grew up in Hartford, Wisconsin. Welcome back, Peter. What do you got for us today?
Hey, Peter.
Hey, man. Spent a lot of time on 48th and Center, too, after I graduated from college.
Well, right on, man.
Hey, just wanted to touch base with you. Tammy Baldwin's going to be on your show in next week, Wednesday?
No, she was on earlier today, man. Where were you, Peter?
Hey, I'm sorry, man. It's work and everything else. I wanted you to ask her this off the air. Does she know that she needs to be on shows like yours a hell of a lot more than what she is? If you're going to be the resistance and you're the Democratic senator from Wisconsin, and you've got enemies all over the state, I'm thinking of ISN and a few other stations, why can't she be on stations like yours every time they take a break in Washington, which is quite awesome. It wouldn't be bothersome. Now, the other thing I was going to say is, does she know that she does have to go into the inner city of Milwaukee, or she's going to have what Hillary had in 2016, where they find no reason to come out and support her? They may hate the person she's running against in the Republican Party, but if she doesn't show them any attention, why should they show her any attention? That's what's scaring me.
Peter, I think you're hitting the nail on the head, my friend. African Americans, we had a caller way back in the 2 o'clock hour. Our friend Wisco Paul said, if Milwaukee votes, Scott Walker's out on his ass. And I would say that Tammy Baldwin, there is a lesson there. If African Americans, especially here in the city of Milwaukee, if they come out and they overwhelm at the polls, there's no doubt that she's reelected as the senator from the great state of Wisconsin. I would point out, Peter, she's been on this show twice relatively recently, once this year, once towards the end of last year. Not as often as we would like her, but she's not the only guest that we would like to see around here with more frequency. But I will point out she did come down to the studio and she joined our friend, our African-American morning host, Earl Ingram Jr. So perhaps the Alabama race, perhaps the Virginia race, maybe they're paying attention broadly, not just her campaign, but the Democratic Party. Maybe they're acknowledging the fact that you can't get from here to there without the votes of African Americans. I've known that since the day I bought this radio station. Peter is a middle-class white guy. I'm making every effort to create portals and platforms to the African American community. That's part of what we're trying to do around here.
I got you. The one question that I would have loved to ask Tammy is, Jeff Sessions really stepped on it when he decided he's going to let the feds go after medical marijuana. Now, I know you don't have it in Wisconsin, to my knowledge, at this time.
No, just the black market stuff me and Dom get.
But there's 29 states. And in the African-American community, that's the ethnic cleansing that the police do. They don't hit the frat houses of Madison. They don't hit the frat houses of Marquette. They hit the poor kids in the inner city and throw them away in jail and give them felonies. And when she was asked what she thought about Sessions and doing that, and just to shrug your shoulders, she wasn't the only one. Chuck Schumer, who's in charge of the resistance in the Senate, did the same thing. And I mean, if you got to start fighting, man. If you don't fight, don't expect the support.
Well, Peter, if Chuck Schumer, or as Rush Limbaugh would call him, Chuck U. Schumer, if that is the face of the resistance, we're all in trouble. And Peter, I would point out, we got this ever-growing field of Wisconsin Democratic primary contenders. They'd all like to be the next governor of the state of Wisconsin. Dom and I have been very clear that if you don't support a legalized marijuana policy, you're going to have a very hard time earning our endorsement. And we don't want half steps. We don't want decriminalize, or I can get behind medical marijuana, because I think you're absolutely right, sir. Between the Attorney General of the United States, even Republicans should come out and say, you know what, states have the right to do what states want to do with their own marijuana policies. And for the rest of us, let's call us reasonable human beings, some of us enjoy a little cannabis after work and sometimes during, breaks throughout the workday.
And apparently those people, according to the AG Sessions, are not good people. But
what was one topic?
What was one topic? What?
That they did not want to discuss on our show today.
Marijuana.
Yeah, talking about the senator. So that's the answer to your question, Peter. They did make one small request when they asked, what do you want to talk about it? Our answer was, you booked her, and we don't really do that much prior prepping for the shows. So, we catch the headlines, and we asked her about breaking news, and of course we had some sense about something they did not want to talk about on this show, and apparently Dominic's got a bad reputation.
Well, that's listen,
for asking the marijuana question, and they didn't want to go there today.
We've had the marijuana discussion in the past, and it wasn't on
with
my
Senator
radar.
Baldwin.
Yeah, and it wasn't on my radar today. So whatever. It's not what I wanted to talk about today.
I wouldn't have minded getting to net neutrality in the FCC. Of course, there's
there
never
are other
enough
topics,
time.
right? There's never enough time, and we probably went longer than we should have. Now we get a couple hours. Absolutely, we can go back around and get to it. And I do say if there's any sort of breaking news regarding the topic, yes, we'll certainly get there. But just as a general, listen, it's not just states' rights; it's individual rights. It's my right to exist. I didn't ask to be on this earth. I didn't ask to be in my circumstances. And I'll be damned if I'm going to let somebody else, a guy like Sessions, what is it about his experience and his life that gives him any better bead on how I should live mine than me?
Good people don't smoke marijuana.
And it's that's part of my own personal resistance. You know, I cannot stand these hypocritical politicians, and there are Dems out there who don't even know, depending on the state, and the state of Wisconsin is one of them, don't even know that in the Democratic platform for the state of Wisconsin calls for the legalization of recreational marijuana in the state of Wisconsin. Now, some Dems don't know that. I find that rather ironic. I think Matt Flynn, running for governor, was in here, was that yesterday?
Yes.
He's calling for a referendum, and he stands up and wants full legalization.
As does Mike McCabe, also a Dem gubernatorial candidate, who was also at least a guest, not a live guest, but a call-in guest.
He was on the phone with us yesterday as well. So, yes, this is a very important issue, just beyond whether or not Dominic can get high without a cop giving him a ticket. Listen, two convictions in the state of Wisconsin for marijuana is a felony. What a freaking joke. So you walk down the street, smoke a joint, you get popped with one. You walk down the street smoking a joint again. You could have a felony charge here in the state of Wisconsin. And we don't even charge, criminal offense first drunk driving. So the hypocrisy is just unbelievable. And again, now it goes to the prison system and criminal justice reform. People doing drugs on their own time, doing drugs. Alcohol is a drug. Nicotine is a drug. Marijuana a drug. What these people do on their own time is their own damn business. And I don't want Republicans or Democrats or independents telling me that they know what's best for me.
Well, let me tell you.
All medical and all research to the contrary shows that there's other drugs that are legal, that are not Schedule I drugs, that won't put people in jail for years and ruin their lives. And white people or black people in the state of Wisconsin or generally have three times more likely to be convicted of marijuana than white people. I mean, it's just an absolute joke. It goes beyond my own personal preference, and that's the resistance that I speak of.
Man, I thought you stoners were kind of mellow people.
Pisses me off, man.
Well, let me tell you, Dominic, state of Wisconsin, all the Dems, you better listen to us. You think we're not plugged in? You're absolutely wrong. If you want to win the next gubernatorial election, and I would say statewide elections, and obviously elections in all the respective 99 assembly seats and the 33, I guess, Senate seats, if you want to win these races, not, go out there and act competitively, if you want to win back seats, this is an issue that resonates, no pun intended, with young people, African-American people, and at least one of the two co-hosts of the greatest radio show ever. Folks, we are the Devil's Advocates. My understanding, Vermont, breaking news. The state legislature in Vermont legalized recreational marijuana. My understanding, the governor will sign it into law.
Wait, where's Bernie Sanders from?
Vermont.
Yeah.
I think we get some Birkenstocks and we go east, young man.
Now let's bring it here. Let's change. I like where I live, man. I want to stay in Wisconsin. Let's change Wisconsin. Let's educate Wisconsin. Let's change some minds. Let's get off the high horse.
And let's make some money, Republicans. There is lots of money to be made. I'm trying to speak in terms you understand. Even
wait. Lots of perhaps political donations to be given.
Well, the Republican Governors Association accepted campaign donations from the legalized marijuana industry.
$20,000.
Scott Walker, well, relative to the grandiose millions he accepts, that's insignificant chicken scratch. But think of it in these terms. All you pot-smoking good people out there, if we elect a Democratic governor, especially one with a pro-marijuana policy agenda, we could have legalized marijuana next year in the state of Wisconsin.
Wow, what a fabulous thought.
What a turn of the page, and perhaps a page made of hemp.
Yeah, there's an idea.
Or, something you could roll and squeeze the ends and light up It's 4:20. We're going to break. We'll be right back.
We promise.
Smoke them if you got them.
Sign on with the devil.
Let me just say, they are a breath of fresh air.
The biggest fear that I and I think a lot of our supporters have is the outside money.
Make a resolution, Milwaukee, to eat your fruits and vegetables. Go to the new Pete's Fruit Market on Martin Luther King and North Ave. Find the freshest fruit, always the perfect peach. Pete's Fruit Market is a brand new, modern, full-service grocery with an in-store butcher shop. Go see the manager, Vidal, for daily specials at the new Pete's Fruit Market on North Ave in MLK. Tell them that the Devil's Advocate sent you.
When you need an attorney, trust the voice of experience. The only choice, Lawton and Cates.
Another memorable case from our files at Lawton and Cates involved a 15-year-old girl who was left a quadriplegic from a van accident while employed by an out-of-state door-to-door magazine sales business. Our client was paid for her losses as well as pain and suffering. This case also raised awareness in Wisconsin to problems in the traveling sales industry, which has resulted in discouraging questionable sales companies from coming into Wisconsin. If your life is disrupted by an injury or other legal dispute, Lawton and Cates can help you achieve a successful result. Trust the voice of experience. Call the attorneys at Lawton and Cates, 282-6200, 282-6200.
When you need an attorney, trust the voice of experience. The only choice, Lawton and Cates.
The Resistance is live 7 days a week here on 1510 AM WRRD, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio. Tune in Sundays for Meet the Press with Chuck Todd from 11 a.m. to noon. Then it's the Jeff Santos Show, kicking ass for the middle class from 12 to 3 p.m. And Citizen Action's Battleground Wisconsin rages from 3 to 4 p.m. Get your groove on with Stu Man PM, politics and music, 4 to 6 p.m. with Stu Daniels. Always streaming at newstalk1510am.com, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio.
If you're a single man under the age of 35, you'd probably like to know what the ladies are looking for on an online dating site. A guy who had a few drinks and later got pulled over for buzzed driving. See, that could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. And doesn't a guy who's back living with his parents but calls them my roommates just scream Mr. Right?
Buzzed, busted, and broke. Because buzz driving is drunk driving. A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Dave, what are you doing?
Just sending a gift to Dave 2037.
Who?
Me in the future. I save a little money from every paycheck as a gift to Dave 2037, so he can spend it on things like anti-gravity boots or a hologram Doberman, something cool like that. I think Dave 2037 deserves it. He worked hard. What are you getting Steve 2037?
I guess I was thinking Steve 2037 would just fend for himself.
Well, all right, but don't expect to be borrowing my anti-gravity boots.
You want to have money in your future? You got to start saving now. Putting some money from every paycheck into a savings account or contributing to your 401k can make a big difference later. Put away a few bucks, feel like $1 million. For free ideas and easy ways to save, go to feedthepig.org. That's feedthepig.org.
Hey, let's just hope Steve 2037 doesn't get his hands on a cool time machine, because he is going to come back here and knock some sense into you.
This message brought to you by the American Institute of Certified Public Accountants and the Ad Council.
Hey, America, we need to have a little talk. We've got more food than we know what to do with in this country, yet 17 million kids in America are struggling with hunger. Makes no sense. Luckily, the Feeding America nationwide network of food banks has volunteers gathering excess food and getting it to hungry kids. They're kind of like food angels. Hey, become a food angel yourself by supporting Feeding America and your local food bank at feedingamerica.org. We can't do it without your help. Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
Marijuana, the burning weed with its roots in hell.
And we are back from the 420 break. Thank you so much for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show live on Wisconsin's Resistance Radio, 1510 a.m. WRRD. You can join us on the phones anytime, 844-967-2789.
We got a friend outside. I'm thinking it's Tok Tok Pass.
Terry Regano, owner of the Roman Coin Fine Milwaukee Pub up on the corner. We have to go and hang out with Terry later.
Dominic, got to get a headline out there while we got a minute. Election chairman calls Scott Fitzgerald a coward over Wisconsin Senator's efforts to oust the top official. The head of the Wisconsin Elections Commission called the leader of the state Senate a coward Tuesday and contended senators don't have the power to oust the state's chief elections officer. Mark Thompson, a Democratic chairman of the bipartisan commission, said only the commission and not the Senate can force Administrator Mike Haas out of his job. Republican senators have promised to reject Haas's confirmation this month, but Thompson said such a vote would be meaningless and they may need to bring a lawsuit to remove Haas. Frankly, he's a coward, Thompson said of Senate Majority Leader Scott Fitzgerald. I'm hoping there are senators in his party who will stand up to his bully tactics. Fitzgerald and other GOP senators have said they want to remove Haas because he formerly worked for the disbanded Government Accountability Board and helped craft legal filings defending a John Doe investigation of the campaigns of Governor Scott Walker and other Republicans. Let's not forget, folks, my little sidebar, illegal when they were doing it. The state Supreme Court terminated the investigation in 2015, finding no one had done anything illegal. A very unique reading of both the U.S. and Wisconsin constitutions, Dom.
GOP senators also want to force out Brian Bell, the administrator of the State Ethics Commission, who also previously worked for the Accountability Board. The commissions, which each consist of 3 Democrats and 3 Republicans, have shown unanimous support for Haas and Bell. Fitzgerald did not respond to a request for an interview. Patrick Marley in the Journal-Sentinel. Thompson said Republican lawmakers should respect the commissioner's view on who they want in charge of the elections agency. Today, Haas has the unanimous support of the commission that he should be driving the bus for the 2018 election at a time when we know the Russian government is going to be there to try to interfere with our elections, Thompson said.
Thompson derided Fitzgerald for planning a vote to reject Haas and Bell on January 23rd without holding public hearings. The fact that Mr. Fitzgerald wants to fire him without even a hearing after the commission he created asked for a hearing shows just how desperate the leaders of the Republican Party have become. It looks like he just rammed down a personal vendetta for unknown reasons. The fact he won't even have a hearing shows he's afraid that the truth will really come out, folks. Nothing but the truth right here. Devil's Advocates Radio coming back. Headline to think about: retribution and revenge in the Wisconsin John Doe. Mary Batari, our friend, will talk about this article next. Come back with us. Devil's Advocates on Wisconsin's only Resistance Radio, 1510 AM WRRD.
I didn't get a harumph out of that guy.
What's the matter, Colonel Sanders? Chicken?
I was on Zero Res Madison's Facebook page the other day, and they have almost 2,000 testimonials from local customers. Apparently, I am not the only one stoked on how cool this company is. A green technology that actually works better and doesn't cost more. It's a no-brainer. I'm in. We are starting our own Devil's Advocates revolution to free your carpets from harsh chemicals and soaps. Call Zero Res today and ask for the Dom and Crude special 608-848-9000 or schedule online at ZeroResMadison.com. Zero Res, spell it forward or backward. It's the right way to clean.
We got Mark Pocan live via phone. Mark, does Paul Ryan hate poor people?
Oh, he hates poor people and middle-class people. I mean, I think when he was probably 5 years old playing with Play-Doh, trying to, adjust the taxes on Play-Doh. And so, to be fair, I think he's doing what he always said he was going to do. It's just no one actually believed he was either that cruel, evil, or dumb to do it.
The Devil's Advocates, weekday afternoons on 1510 AM, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio.
You are listening to Wisconsin's Resistance Radio, WRRD, 1510 AM, Milwaukee, Waukesha. There is not a gun to my head right now.
When Wisconsin Republican Brad Schimmel,
I don't have a lot of expertise,
decided to run for Wisconsin Attorney General,
I don't even know my own website address.
Even some conservatives questioned his ability.
You can always say no to a request for an interview, and I kind of wish Mr. Schimmel had said no. I don't think he was ready for that.
Schimmel claims to be all about law and order.
You start
with the default position that yes, you will enforce the laws.
Apparently, even if that means enforcing a 1960s-style ban on interracial marriage.
It might be distasteful to me, but I've got to stay consistent with that as the state's lawyer. It's not my job to pick and choose.
Wisconsin deserves a competent attorney general.
We've got to go.
Yes, Brad Schimmel, you do got to go. This message was paid for by the People for People Corporation. Donate online at p4ppc.org, p4ppc.org.
Have you outgrown your house? Are you sick of apartment living? Not ready to buy but know you need to move? Hi folks, this is Tom Hartman for CCL Management in Middleton. You should consider moving up to one of the finer rental homes CCL Management represents. Unique houses and condos, always clean, most are pet friendly. Visit cclmanagement.com today to find your new home. CCL Management, Dane County's premier leasing and property management company.
Call CCL Management at 833-0009. That's 833-0009 or visit cclmanagement.com today.
Have a drink at Regano's Roman Coin. This neighborhood corner tavern is as classic as the street it occupies. Family owned and operated since 1966, Regano's Roman Coin is located in a former Pabst Tide House on historic Brady Street, serving an array of craft beers with a focus on Wisconsin breweries. Also, weekly drink specials, trivia on Wednesdays, seasonal sporting events, parties hosted for all occasions, and pet friendly. Open 11 a.m. Tuesday through Friday, 10 a.m. Saturday and Sunday, closed on Monday. Regano's Roman Coin, Milwaukee's pet friendly, cash only order and classic corner tavern.
Trump. Good afternoon. It is 4:32 for 1510 a.m. WRRD, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio. My name is Brian Kelly, and I have some headlines for you. Former State Representative Mandela Barnes announced today on the Earl Ingram Show that he is running for lieutenant governor. Also, Mayor Paul Soglin of Madison is kicking off his campaign for governor today. Wisconsin is spending $1 million to lure young Chicagoans to our state. And Foxconn is extending the eviction date for some renters after questions were raised about the 28-day eviction notices they received. Also, County Executive Chris Abele has reversed course and now says 8 emergency homeless shelters will be fully funded in 2018. The Orlando Magic is back in town to take on the Bucks. It's currently 43 degrees in Milwaukee and 42 in Waukesha for 1510 a.m. My name is Brian Kelly.
Trump. Pants. Trump. Pants.
The Devil's Advocates, making radio great again.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates radio show. That voice, it could only be the Cowardly Lion, Scott Fitzgerald. You know, if you put a bane on that guy, he could pass as Cowardly Lion. He's never shown backbone. No. Speculation. Why? Why would they try to oust Bell and Haas? Why would they go against the wishes of their own commission? Well, perhaps Mary Batari can help us answer this question. Retribution and revenge in the Wisconsin John Doe. Our friend Mary Batari, this published at the Shepherd Express earlier today. Oh, God, I don't have the first paragraph. Let me try it real quick. Is it on my phone? So, anyway, Scott Walker's really bad.
Come on. Sometimes these things don't print out. Let's start by the second sentence here. The Wisconsin GOP is keeping the John Doe alive by undertaking a criminal investigation of a 2016 leak of documents to the Guardian newspaper, famous for its publication of the Snowden revelations and the Panama Papers. In December, Attorney General Brad Schimmel released a report on his findings. You know, that BS report, Crudy. He failed to identify the leaker and claimed that potentially hundreds, quote-unquote, had access to material that was subject to systematic and pervasive mishandling, again, quote-unquote. Nevertheless, Schimmel decided to recommend contempt charges be brought against a list of investigators, including Special Republican Special Prosecutor Francis Schmitz, for allegedly mishandling evidence. No sooner was the report released than it began to fall apart.
The new Ethics Commission slammed the document for falsely claiming it failed to cooperate. The Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel demanded a correction for an unwarranted and false attack on the wife of a key John Doe reporter.
Of course, we're talking about Sonia Bice. We had Dan Bice on our show that day.
And the John Doe judge overseeing the report was forced to step down after the discovery of past partisan tweets. But the clown car really ran off the rails when the Wisconsin State Journal reported Schimmel himself broke the law by disclosing names and details of a closed ethics investigation he misleadingly labeled John Doe 3. The utter incompetence, leaking names in the middle of a leak investigation, prompted the John Doe judge, who agreed to unseal the report, to say that if he faced charges related to the matter, I would have had to plead guilty.
The Capital Times called for Schimmel's resignation, charging that, and here's a quote, Tom, that his extreme partisanship has caused him to abandon basic legal standards, and lost in the brouhaha are some underlying fundamentals. Schimmel's report exculpates Walker and the dark money groups with the astounding claim no piece of John Doe 2 or John Doe 3 evidence reviewed by the DOJ suggests illegal or unethical conduct. The lengthy Guardian report detailed the ugly story of one billionaire dark money donor, lead pigment manufacturer Harold Simmons, who is being sued by a group of children poisoned by lead paint after Simmons gave $750,000 in personal and corporate checks to Wisconsin Club for Growth to defend Walker and the state senators against recall. The GOP snuck a motion into a giant budget bill nullifying the lawsuits against him, or quid pro quo, as they might.
Yeah, I think that's how they used to say it.
Or say in the legal moniker.
Now it's just constituent services.
The legislature had rejected the same change to the law earlier, but after the checks flowed, the measure was passed and signed by Walker.
Well, they didn't pay enough the first time around?
Apparently not. He learned his lesson. If billionaires are now allowed to give secret campaign contributions to get lawsuits against them thrown out of court, perhaps the Attorney General should issue a price list so the public can avail themselves of the nifty service, ?
Absolutely.
In the face of evidence of coordination between Wanker's campaign and the Express advocacy groups, that's the bright legal red line that he also crossed, right, Tom? Including weekly meetings with the Republican Governors Association, which had sworn in an oath not to coordinate with candidates. The Wisconsin Supreme Court cooked up a novel interpretation of the state's anti-coordination policy in order to let Team Walker off the hook. The ruling flew in the face of multiple U.S. Supreme Court decisions and remains a national outlier today. And as it turns out, the same groups that secretly helped Walker raise $10 million for 4 of the Wisconsin Supreme Court justices signing the controversial decision to end the John Doe investigation, and 2 justices asked to recuse in the case, may have benefited from similar coordination. In other words, the same judge and jury, in effect, the Wisconsin Supreme Court, or at least the conservative bloc thereon, they did the same crime that Walker was being alleged to have committed, and we all know he did it. It was illegal when he did it, and it was illegal when Prosser did it, when Gableman did it, when Rogensack did it, and when Ziegler did it.
Continue. No wonder the Supreme Court sealed proceedings, canceled oral arguments, and initially ordered all materials destroyed. No wonder John Doe Judge Gregory Peterson ordered prosecutors to stop looking at any evidence, unconscionably handicapping the lawyers appealing his order. No wonder Judge Rudolph Randa ordered the evidence destroyed before being overturned by the conservative 7th Circuit. No wonder the GOP completely rewrote 40 years of clean election laws to retroactively legalize much of the behavior in question and to destroy the Independent Government Accountability Board. No wonder Schimmel worked to collect up every last printed page, electronic file, and dust bunny in the basement of the former GAB. Now the people that Schimmel condemns lack access to his sealed charges and do not possess a shred of evidence to defend themselves. While Schimmel named 9 people he thought might be involved in the leaks, Republican politicians have decided to go after a different group of people altogether, calling for the resignation of the head of the new Elections
Commission and the Elections Board they created in an absolute abuse of power. I'm going to read on here, Dom,
Please do.
from Mary Batari's piece, published at the Shepherd Express. Senate Minority Leader Jennifer Schilling accused Republicans of rewriting the history of their own political scandals. But there is another reason the Wisconsin GOP wants to keep the story of prosecutorial abuse alive, air quotes. It may become Exhibit A in the national effort to discredit Trump special investigation and former Republican FBI chief Robert S. Mueller. Yes, it seems all very familiar. Preemptively attack the investigators and undermine the credibility. And if you get lucky, maybe you can quash the criminal investigation of the governor, in this case, the president. I read on. Wisconsin's dark money man, Eric O'Keefe, is already peddling this line on radio, as is U.S. Senate hopeful Leah Vukmir in the pages of the Wall Street Journal. A resolute defender of secret money in politics, O'Keefe apparently leaked subpoenas to the Journal editorial board and admitted to violating the John Doe secrecy order in some form every day. Now O'Keefe is reading from a sealed grand jury subpoena from the Mueller investigation on air. The FBI was heavily involved in John Doe 1. The director of the FBI during John Doe 1 was Robert Mueller III, says O'Keefe. The Mueller investigation looks like another attempt by what might be called the administrative state or the deep state to overturn the election and remove Trump from office.
This is O'Keefe?
Eric O'Keefe, who I thought was a never Trumper, although at one of the very last Trump rallies in the state of Wisconsin,
we saw him.
I took a picture of Eric O'Keefe. He was in the back. O'Keefe's tale of prosecutors run amok neglects to mention that John Doe 1 resulted in 6 conviction of Walker staff and associates, even though bid rigging charges were never brought against Walker. Every step of the John Doe 2 was authorized by a judge and backed by 5 Republican and Democratic district attorneys. Former Republican District Attorney J.B. Van Hollen's office was sworn into the John Doe 2 and ducked out without sending out a single flare about prosecutorial misconduct. And for the defenders of secret money in politics, only pet politicians and prosecutors will do. Well, Brad Schimel, he's something of a pet.
Yeah.
Mary Batari is the Deputy Director of the Center for Media and Democracy and is a recipient of the Hillman Prize for Investigative Journalism. We consider her a friend. We are the Devil's Advocates. We got lots of friends. But just about a minute left here on the old AM dial before the FCC says turn off 1510 AM, the greatest AM daytime radio station ever. Hoping to announce the construction permit for our new FM at 101.7. That'll be coming this spring, folks. Hang on tight.
We can do it together.
And learn to live stream. NewsTalk1510am.com. That's where we'll be. We'll go to break. We'll come back. More Devil's Advocates. Find us on the stream. We'll be there. Thanks, Tammy Baldwin. Thanks, Evan Goyke. Thanks, Mary Batari, for that fine piece. Thank you, folks, for listening on the radio. Don't forget, live stream. NewsTalk1510am.com. We'll be right back.
High heel shoes and a low neck sweater. Get back home, Loretta. Get back to where you want to belong.
They drove a dump truck full of money up to my house. I'm not made of stone.
The biggest fear that I and I think a lot of our supporters have is the outside money.
Good evening, everyone. Due to FCC regulations and that we are a daytime AM radio station, this now concludes our broadcast day. But you don't have to leave us. We do stream online 24/7 at newstalk1510am.com. That's newstalk1510am.com. Or check us out on the TuneIn app at WRRD 1510 AM. For those of you already streaming, we now continue regular programming, and please welcome your friends from the radio station. Say hi, everyone. News Talk 1510 AM, WRRD, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio.
When you need an attorney, trust the voice of experience. The only choice, Lawton and Cates.
I needed an attorney because I was injured at work. I wanted to find a reputable attorney. The results that I got with Lawton and Cates were very good. I'm very happy with the way I was treated and the end result that I got.
Trust the voice of experience. Call the attorneys at Lawton and Cates. 282-6200. 282-6200.
Join the Resistance, WRRD, Resistance Radio. Tune in Monday through Friday beginning at 7 a.m. The Earl Ingram Show starts your day from 7 to 9. Then join Brian and Daryl for 414 Wisconsin from 9 to 11. You can hear the Tom Hartman program from 11 to 2. Then from 2 to 5, it's the Devil's Advocates with Dom and Crute. Tune in to 1510 a.m. throughout the day. WRRD, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio.
Make a resolution, Milwaukee, to eat your fruits and vegetables. Go to the new Pete's Fruit Market on Martin Luther King and North Ave. Find the freshest fruit, always the perfect peach. Pete's Fruit Market is a brand new, modern, full-service grocery with an in-store butcher shop. Go see the manager, Vidal, for daily specials at the new Pete's Fruit Market on North Ave in MLK. Tell them that the Devil's Advocate sent you. Hi, I'm Crudy. I'm here with Bill Carroll, president of Teamsters Local 344. Bill, why are you union? Teamsters strong.
Well, Crudy, our strength comes from our membership. The Teamsters are North America's strongest labor union with 1.4 million members.
Bill, what does the Teamsters do for the next generation?
The same thing that the Teamsters have done for the last 100 years. Assisting groups of workers in negotiating improvements in their wages, hours, and working conditions.
Where do people go if they want to know more about the Teamsters, more about joining the union?
There's 3 easy options. They can call Local 344 at 414-258-4545. They can contact us through our website. That's local344.org. Local, the number is 344.org. Or they can contact us through the Local 344 Facebook page.
Be union strong. Join Teamsters 344. Be like Crudy. Be like News Talk 1510 AM. Stand with the unions. Join the Teamsters. Local344.org.
Welcome back to The Dog Show. Up next, we have Satchmo. Satchmo is a member of the Shelter Pet Group.
That's right, a group known especially for their couch-snuggling, ball-chasing, face-licking, and, of course, companionship. Now, let's see him in action.
Look how he makes eye contact with his person.
That's actually known as the treat stare.
How intuitive, and now he appears to be excitedly turning in circles.
Ah, the happy dance so common with this group.
But really, the best way to know an amazing shelter pet like Satchmo is to meet one.
Visit theshelterpetproject.org today. Adopt.
Brought to you by Maddie's Fund, the Humane Society of the United States, and the Ad Council.
Bring it? Oh, it's already been brought in. Dom and Crute are the Devil's Advocates.
And we are back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show. We are Wisconsin's Resistance Radio, 1510 AM WRRD. Last segment of the day, so if you got something to say, you can give us a call right now, 844-967-2789.
Dominic, I want to go back to the National. This story at the New York Times. It's in regards to the Tar Heel state where my brother and niece live. Alan Blinder, Michael Wines, North Carolina is ordered to redraw its congressional map. Ha! A panel of federal judges struck down North Carolina's congressional map on Tuesday, condemning it as unconstitutional because Republicans had drawn the map seeking a political advantage. The ruling was the first time that a federal court had blocked a congressional map because of partisan gerrymandering, and it's instantly endangered Republican seats in the coming elections. Judge James A. Wynn Jr., in a biting 191-page opinion, said that Republicans in the North Carolina legislature had been motivated by invidious partisan intent as they carried out their obligation in 2016 to divide the state into 13 congressional districts, 10 of which are held by Republicans. The result, Judge Wine wrote, violated the 14th Amendment's guarantee of equal protection. The ruling and its chief demand that the Republican-dominated legislature create a new landscape of congressional districts by January 24th. January 24th, that's pretty quick, infused new turmoil into the political chaos that has in recent years enveloped North Carolina. President Trump carried North Carolina in 2016, but the state elected a Democrat as its governor on the same day, and in 2008 supported President Barack Obama.
The unusually blunt decision by the panel could lend momentum to two other challenges on gerrymandering that are already before the Supreme Court, and that the North Carolina case could join if Republicans make good on their vow to appeal Tuesday's ruling. In October, the court heard an appeal of another three-judge panel ruling that Republicans had unconstitutionally gerrymandered, wait for it, Wisconsin's state assembly in an attempt to regulate Democrats to a permanent minority. Relegate the Democrats to a permanent minority. In the second case, the justices will hear arguments by Maryland Republicans that the Democratic-controlled legislature redrew House districts to flip a Republican-held seat to Democratic control. The Supreme Court has struggled without success for decades to develop a legal standard for determining when a partisan gerrymander crosses constitutional lines. The court once came close to ruling that such cases were political matters beyond its jurisdiction, but the rise of extreme partisan gerrymanders in the last decade, powered by a growing ideological divide and powerful map-drawing software, has brought the question back to the justices with new urgency. The Supreme Court ruling outlawing at least some such gerrymanders could reshape the political landscape. Yeah, no doubt. Fights over voting rights and election procedures have often taken center stage in Raleigh, North Carolina's capital, and Tuesday's rulings noted that partisan advantage had been a criterion lawmakers used when mulling how to map the state. Republican officials in the General Assembly said Tuesday evening that they intended to appeal the ruling, which many elected officials and political strategists were still scrambling to digest. Dallas Woodhouse, the executive director of the North Carolina Republican Party, criticized Judge Wynn and accused him of waging a personal partisan war on North Carolina Republicans. Kind of ironic, this projection that Republicans do all the time. In a separate post on Twitter, Woodhouse argued that Judge Wynn had concluded that North Carolina's Republicans should not be allowed to draw election districts under any circumstances, under any set of rules, an effort he called a hostile takeover of the General Assembly and legislatures nationwide. Republicans could ask the Supreme Court to stay the decision and allow the disputed map to be used this year. But critics of the congressional map welcomed a decision that was notable for its tartness and urgency. Clearly, the courts have realized that they do need to step in and police extreme partisan gerrymanders, and the court recognized that North Carolina's gerrymanders was one of the worst, most extreme in history, said Ruth Greenwood, senior legal counsel at the Campaign Legal Center and a lawyer representing some of the map challengers.
Now, let's not forget, this article, this New York Times piece, references the gerrymandering case here in the state of Wisconsin. And the prior court, the federal courts, the appellate court, ruled 2-1 that the Wisconsin maps were unconstitutional and must be redrawn. And the partisan hack attorney general of the state of Wisconsin has refused to take that step, instead, of course, appealing to the U.S. Supreme Court. Now, this court is saying redraw the maps by the 24th of January. I would point out, if the U.S. Supreme Court rules for the litigants in the Wisconsin gerrymandering case, that ruling may not come down until June. We have a partisan primary in August. In somewhere between those two dates, new assembly districts, new senatorial districts, and quite frankly, they should go on and create new congressional districts, as well as we reported on this show the same day they dropped the assembly lawsuit, that we found evidence on the former GAB website. It's acknowledged in black and white. Every congressional district in the state of Wisconsin is by definition unconstitutional because the Republicans in the state of Wisconsin had such hubris, such urgency to gerrymander the maps beyond recognition. They didn't bother waiting for the topographical maps to be issued. In other words, they used inaccurate maps. They didn't wait for the maps. They did a top-down gerrymander instead of allowing individual districts to issue their maps and then building a map around actual landmarks, like city borders. They didn't bother to follow the borders of communities, Dom, and unconstitutional across the board.
So hopefully,
I'm looking for relief. I think this is
absolutely
a huge
agree.
issue.
This is a big problem. And again, I don't give a damn if it's the Democrat in Maryland, the Democrats in Maryland, or the Republicans in the state of Wisconsin. As a voting citizen, I don't want our politicians engaging in choosing their constituency. It's supposed to be the other way around. 844-967.
Mathematically speaking, Wisconsin, I think, had the worst gerrymandered map in the nation's history, at least in modern history.
And they've come up with a formula to test that, and we'll see what the Supreme Court says. Randy from Madison, you're up. You get the last word of the day. Thanks for joining us. What do you got for us?
Hey, Randy.
Hey, guys. Listen, I've even my older brother, who is a staunch Republican, admits to the gerrymandering. It's pretty ridiculous. Evidently, it's coming true within many states in the nation. Anyhow, I bought an e-bike from Crazy Lenny's, and I tell you, it's really good.
They're fun. They're really fun. Randy, do you feel like Superman? Do you have the power assist when you pedal? Does it make you feel like you're super big and strong and tough?
Listen, Dom or Crute, the guy that sold it to me told me that you have one too. But look, here's a bigger point. I have a really good song for Lenny, and I think he should start advertising with you guys again, because that's how I understood and found out about this. But anyhow, in downtown Madison, as of January 1st, there's no longer, you can't park your scooters, all these kids around UW and downtown. So this is the way to go.
Yeah, get an e-bike. Go see our friend Crazy Lenny Mattioli, Odana Road Research Park, Madison, Wisconsin. And I'll get my e-bike out as soon as the weather turns. They got the winter ones as well, but I'm not really a winter biker. I'm barely a summer biker.
I was going to say, man.
Thanks to all our fine guests. Once again, Senator Tammy Baldwin, Wisconsin State Rep Evan Goyke from right here in Milwaukee. And you, all of you, our fine audience, we thank you. Please tune in tomorrow. A really big show. We've got 3. Count them 3. We've got Mandela Barnes. We've got Kathleen Feinhout. We've got Malin Mitchell. It's going to be another big show. You got to tune in. You'll miss something otherwise. Thank you for listening. Have a great night.
We're going to win so much, you may even get tired of winning.
Don't even think about it.
You're winners. Winners get to do what they want.
Don't even think about it.
What do you think of these online reports that say you had a love child in college?
Don't even think about it. Don't even think about it. Don't even think.
Wisconsin Republican Attorney General Brad Schimmel claims he will further investigate the investigators of the John Doe 2 investigation because it was all a partisan witch hunt. Wisconsin State Rep Chris Taylor said this.
There is absolutely no concern expressed by this Attorney General or these Republican legislators about the underlying